The Otsutsuki Road from Kirigakure. Chapter 1. Freshman. The 27th year of the Kirigakure calendar. In the southern part of the land of water, there is an extremely remote fishing village. By the lake far away from the village, a young man in white clothes sat there quietly, staring at the lake in a daze with dull eyes and a bitter face, revealing his sorrow. In fact, it can't be considered as being in a daze. The boy is just sorting out some memories that suddenly appeared in his mind. One day ago, an 8-year-old boy named Kingsi was practicing the power of this world called chakra as usual, when suddenly a large number of memory fragments emerged in his mind. The young man fainted after receiving a large amount of information all of a sudden. When he woke up again, he found that there were many different memory fragments in his mind that he had never seen before. It took Kingsi most of the day to review all the memories that appeared in his mind and gain a clear understanding of his situation. It turns out that he is not a native of the ninja world, but a genuine time traveler. 8 years ago, on Langsing, 24-year-old Si Ching, who had just graduated from graduate school, was hit head-on by a speeding truck that ran a red light on his way to a job interview and died on the spot. Si Ching, who was born in an orphanage, grew up smoothly thanks to the help of kind-hearted people. Perhaps his first half of life was too difficult and rough, so under the influence of some mysterious power, his soul completed the journey and came to the world of Naruto, and was born into a baby who was later named Ching Si. Although the ninja world has the extraordinary power called chakra, the soul of an ordinary adult is too huge compared to the small body of a baby. Therefore, the soul of Si Ching, who came through, instinctively sealed most of his soul deep in his mind until a day ago. Si Ching, no, now he should be called Ching Si, who has sorted out the memories of his past life. Although he feels the joy of living a new life, he is more confused about the current situation. The good news is that the world he came to is the Naruto world he knows. The bad news is that he has not watched Naruto in its entirety. He just saw various edited and exciting clips when he was bored and scrolling through short videos. After organizing his thoughts, Kingsi shook his head helplessly and smiled bitterly. The world of Naruto. There are fights everywhere. Kingsi sighed. After failing in the political struggle, he was expelled from the clan and exiled to a remote area in the southern part of the Water Kingdom. His father was injured, his mother died early due to depression, and the living environment was difficult. For Kingsi, who had read a lot of fantasy novels in his previous life, this was a perfect protagonist template. Although he didn't know the detailed plot of Naruto, Kingji still knew the ending of Shippuden. Kaguya Otsutsuki, Black Zetsu, Uchiha Madara, these names that were full of pressure flashed through his mind one by one. Looking down at the lake, Kingsi's face was reflected on the lake. The beautiful face reveals a hint of delicateness, the smooth and fair face reveals a sharp and cold handsomeness, and with 2 red dots dotted between the eyebrows, the handsome face reveals nobility and elegance. Looking closely, there are 2 horns on both sides of Kyoji's forehead. However, this does not destroy Kyoji's overall facial shape. On the contrary, it matches Kyoji's face and gives him a strange and weird beauty. This may be the only good news for CG. After watching the introduction of the Starry Sky Otsutsuki clan in Unburnable, he knew clearly that he inherited not only the blood of the Kaguya clan passed down by his parents, but also a reversion to his ancestral home. The horn on his forehead is the symbol of the authentic Otsutsuki bloodline. Although his bloodline is still very thin at present and he has not awakened the iconic Byakugan, he already has the foundation to evolve into the complete Otsutsuki. After calming down, Kingsi decided not to practice today. After awakening his past life memories and gaining a lot of information, he decided to give himself a break and sort out his abilities in order to survive in this dangerous world. Standing up, Kingsi strolled along the lakeside, thoughts surging in his mind, memories of his past life and memories of this life flashing through his mind alternately. 8 years ago, due to the power struggle within the Kaguya clan, and the fact that CG was born with double horns on both sides of his forehead that were different from all other Kaguya clan members, Seiji's father, Kaguya Genji, was refused recognition as a member of the Kaguya clan by his brother, the current head of the Kaguya clan, Kaguya Musashi, on the grounds that CG had mutated into a monster and did not inherit the bloodline of the Kaguya clan. He expelled Seiji's family from the family and exiled them to this remote village that could not be found on the map of the water country and did not even have a name. Before being expelled from the Kaguya clan, Kaguya Genji could basically be said to be the strongest of the Kaguya clan. Genji awakened the strongest physical skill bloodline limit, the Shikatsu, at a very young age, and was regarded by the entire family at that time as the hope to recreate the glory of the Kaguya Warring States era. Genji lived up to his reputation as a genius. He grew rapidly in battle and became an elite jonin of the Hidden Mist village at the age of 14. He was also among the top in strength among the elite jonin, and made a great name for himself in the ninja world. But maybe God is always jealous of geniuses. At the age of 20, Genji followed the second Mizukage, Hojiki Gengetsu, to attack the land of Earth at the end of the First Ninja World War. As a result, he encountered the second Tsuchikage bandage man Mu, who had already received the news and was ready to ambush him. After a hard fight, the two second cages died together, and the Kirigakure people broke through separately. In the end, only Genji and 8 others were left with serious injuries. At that time, medical ninjas had not yet been established and were extremely underdeveloped. After breaking out and returning to the village, Genji suffered irreparable injuries to his body. His meridians were shattered and the flow of chakra in his body was restricted. He could only exert strength close to that of an ordinary jonin. In the Hyuga clan, which attaches great importance to military power, the Genji clan's voice, which has lost most of its power, has rapidly weakened. According to the original agreement within the clan, Genji would be able to successfully take over as the leader of the Kagaya clan after returning to the village after winning the battle with the second Mizukage. However, due to his serious injuries and declining strength, his plan was postponed. His brother Kagaya Musashi took the opportunity to unite several elders to launch an attack, and finally successfully ascended the throne of the clan leader and suppressed Genji many times within the clan. By using the power of the clan leader to obtain various resources, Kagaya Musashi's strength increased rapidly, and within 3 years, his strength was improved from an ordinary jonin to an elite jonin. Moreover, with the blessing of the corpse bone vein, his strength was also quite good among the elite jonin. Although his combat power was not as outstanding as Genji's back then, he gradually secured his position as the clan leader. Although Kagaya Genji was often targeted by Kagaya Musashi in the clan, he was once the top fighter of the Kagaya clan. Although his strength has not improved after being seriously injured, he still has the strength of an ordinary jonin. In the family that attaches great importance to bloodline, Genji, who awakened the corpse bone vein early and developed it to a very deep level, is still a popular figure. The Hyuga clan's corpse bone vein is an extremely powerful bloodline limit that has an extremely strong enhancement on the body and close combat capabilities. It also has long-range attack ninjutsu such as 10-finger piercing bullets. However, being powerful also means it is difficult to awaken. Currently, there are only 8 members of the Kagaya clan who have awakened the corpse bone vein and can use the legendary ultimate dance. The only member of the clan who can use the corpse bone vein, early fern dance, is Kagaya Genji before he was seriously injured. Therefore, when Genji was 24 years old, in order to inherit the Shikatsu Kekii Genkai, Genji married Kagaya Yukiko, the second daughter of the 6th elder, who had also awakened the Shikatsu Kekii. In the second year of their marriage, they gave birth to a son named Seiji. Not long after Kyoji was born, the 6th elder disappeared during a mission, which further weakened Genji's voice within the clan, and he was restricted in every way by his brother, the clan leader Kagaya Musashi. Later, when Kingxi was about 7-8 months old, they used the excuse that Kingxi's blood had mutated and that he had something like horns growing on his forehead, and they drove Kingxi and his family of 3 out of the Kagaya clan and exiled them to the border of the Water Kingdom. After experiencing the loss of her father, being expelled and exiled from her clan, and facing extremely poor living conditions, the health of Seiji's mother, Kagaya Yukiko, deteriorated rapidly. Living in a remote border area and being closely guarded by Musashi's men, Yukiko was deprived of timely medical treatment and eventually went to the Pure Land when Seiji was 3 years old. Genji, who was already half disabled and could only fight as a jonin at best, was unable to fight 2 jonin sent by Kagaya Musashi to look after them, without using life-threatening forbidden techniques. If he burned his life to use forbidden techniques, Genji's family of 3 might not survive in the end. Helpless, Genji could only watch his wife leave him. The broken body and the deeply damaged mental state tortured the once most dazzling genius of the Kagaya clan every day. The departure of his wife was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Genji completely collapsed. If it weren't for a child like Seiji who cared about him, he would have wanted to end this muddled life long ago. The afterglow of the setting sun gradually faded away, Kingxi stopped walking, and his mind also stopped recalling. After looking up to identify the direction, Kingxi turned around and walked slowly towards home. Chapter 2. One day 2 years ago. After dinner, Kiyoshi and his father Kagaya Genji went back to their rooms to rest. After returning to the house, Kingxi picked up a scroll from the corner of the wall. After slowly spreading it out, he sat cross-legged and began to slowly guide the chakra in his body according to the method described on the scroll. That's right, at the age of 6, CG already had chakra in his body. When he was 4 years old, CG found the scroll at home that his mother, Kagaya Yukiko, had taken away when she was expelled from the Kagaya clan. He followed the instructions on the scroll and extracted chakra through the combination of physical energy and spiritual energy. CG, who inherited the top Kagaya bloodline, has much higher talent than his father Kagaya Genji. He guided out the first ray of chakra in just a few breaths. Without anyone to teach him, Kingxi had no idea what his speed meant. At that time, he just mixed his physical energy and spiritual energy step by step to continuously strengthen the chakra in his body. Unfortunately, Kingxi was too young at that time and the harsh living environment caused his body to grow slowly. He fainted within a few minutes. In this way, Kingxi would extract chakra almost every night, but due to the scarcity of body energy, Kingxi's chakra grew very slowly. After extracting the chakra, Kingxi did not stop practicing. He continued to guide the flow of chakra in the body according to the chakra's running path in the scroll. This is the chakra practice method passed down by the Kagaya clan since the Warring States period. The complete circulation between fixed meridians and fixed acupoints can warm the body. Warming the chakra makes the chakra more condensed and flows faster in the body. It is said that it can also stimulate the awakening of bloodline limits, but in the long history of the Kagaya clan, there are still very few people with bloodline limits, so this effect is not convincing. From the age of 4 to 6, after 2 years, although Kingxi's body was still poorly developed, it was much better than before he practiced chakra. Chakra flowed rapidly in the meridians along the path that Kingxi was familiar with, slowly nourishing his young body. After running 10 complete cycles, Kingxi was ready to call it a day, but at this moment, he found that his body began to tremble uncontrollably. The chakra in his body, which had gradually calmed down, suddenly accelerated at this moment. Kingxi panicked, not knowing what had happened. He thought something had gone wrong with his training today, and was trying his best to control the chakra in his body, trying to get it back under his control. The chakra was running faster and faster between the meridians, and Kingxi's body was getting hotter and hotter. In a trance, he seemed to hear the sound of chakra flowing in his body like a big river. Just when Kingxi was so anxious that he didn't know what to do and wanted to call for help from his father who was sleeping next door, the flow of chakra in his body gradually slowed down. At the same time, Kingxi's chakra aura began to slowly increase. Judging by the ninja's strength level, it has roughly increased to the level of a senior genin. The amount of chakra in his body is also increasing rapidly at the same time. Kingxi can feel that his physical strength is also in a slowly increasing state. After opening his eyes, Kingxi looked confused, not knowing what happened to his body. Why did my strength increase inexplicably? Kingxi remembered what his mother had told him about the approximate levels of ninjas when he was still alive. After graduating from the ninja school, one would be assessed and become a genin. Then one would pass the chunin exam or be appointed by the village to become an ordinary chunin. Then one would continue to improve and become an elite ninja among the chunins. If one had special abilities in some areas and they were enough to rival the jonins to a certain extent, then one would be appointed a special jonin, followed in sequence by ordinary jonins, elite jonins, and finally the kage level. Although the common ninja status levels in the ninja world are only genin, chunin and jonin, they only represent the status level of the ninja in each ninja village rather than the strength level. Although they are all jonin, special jonin, jonin, and elite jonin, their strengths are very different. There is a huge gap between ninjas of different strength levels in terms of the amount and quality of chakra, the level and power of techniques. Because no one taught him, Kingxi felt that his strength might have improved and reached the level of a genin. He believed that the condition in his body just now might have been caused by the increase in strength. He was not aware that he possessed a bloodline limit that was very rare in the ninja world, and the abnormality just now was caused by the awakening of the corpse bone vein. In fact, according to Kingxi's bloodline and talent, his corpse bone vein should have awakened at around 4 years old. However, due to exile, the harsh environment and malnutrition caused his body to develop extremely slowly, probably 2-3 years behind the normal age, and Kingxi's chakra amount could not keep up. So until today, after more than 2 years of chakra accumulation and body nourishment, the bloodline limit that had been dormant in his body for a long time finally awakened. Kingxi, who was feeling excited about his increased strength, suddenly felt his body slowly getting hot. He inexplicably felt that he could do something. He slowly activated the chakra in his body, following his body's instinct to evenly distribute all the chakra in his body among his 10 fingers, and stretched out his hands, facing forward. Under the manipulation of chakra, the bone bud cells and osteoclasts in Kingxie's hands were rapidly mobilized, and the calcium concentration in his palms increased rapidly. 10 sharp bone spurs slowly grew out from the fingertips of his 10 fingers. Kingxie was shocked, thinking that there was something wrong with his finger bones. He hurriedly wanted to cut off the chakra to make the bones retract, but he had just awakened and had no experience in manipulating the corpse bone veins, and the scroll left by his mother did not mention anything about the corpse bone veins. In Kingxie's panic, the 10 bone spurs shot forward like bullets. Boom! With a loud bang, the wall suddenly collapsed under the impact of the 10-finger bullets. Kingxie also fainted because his chakra was exhausted just after awakening his bloodline limit. The collapse of the wall woke up Genji, who was sleeping next door. He came to Kyoji's room in a daze and saw his son fainted on the ground and the shattered wall in front of him. His eyes swept across the debris on the ground and suddenly stopped. He saw several bone bullets deeply embedded in the fragments of the wall. 10 fingers piercing bullets? This is the awakening of bloodline. Genji murmured. At this moment, 2 figures quickly flashed outside the house. They were the 2 senior ninjas who were sent to monitor and guard Kingji's family. What happened? One of the jonin asked loudly. Get out, nothing happened. A low angry shout was heard. Genji was not surprised by the arrival of the 2 people outside. Genji, who had never paid attention to them, could only walk slowly into the yard and confront the 2 senior ninjas in order to protect the news of Kyoji's bloodline from being leaked. Since nothing happened, we 2 brothers will leave. I hope you will learn from your mistakes, Lord Genji. Another jonin said sarcastically. Humph, you lackeys of my good brother, our family affairs are none of your business. Get out of here now. Although my strength has declined, I can still kill one of you even if I get injured. Do you want to try? Genji glanced at them with a slight disdain and threatened. Ha, retreat. The 2 senior ninjas didn't know that Genji couldn't beat them unless he fought desperately. After a quick check, they retreated under Genji's threat. Chapter 3. At that time, Kingxie, who had not yet awakened his memories of his past life, had no idea what his awakening of the Otsutsuki bloodline meant. In an unknown temple in the ninja world, a young man who looked like a monk, wearing a white haori, with his hair gathered on top of his head in a long braid behind his head, a Roman numeral 4 tattooed under his left eye, and a black mark on his chin, was meditating. He wore a red collar and red wrist guards around his neck and wrists, had black nails, a red belt around his waist, and red earrings on his ears. The monk's name is Jijin, and he lived in the ancient times thousands of years ago, an era even more distant than the era of the ninja clan. In ancient times, Kagaya Otsutsuki and his Heike Otsutsuki came to the planet where the ninja world was located as a partner to plant the sacred tree. Originally, one of them would be used to sacrifice to the sacred tree. Otsutsuki Heike is slightly stronger than Otsutsuki Kagaya, so for the Otsutsuki clan, which relies on strength, Kagaya will be used as a sacrifice. However, Kagaya, who was unwilling to be a sacrifice, made a desperate effort on the eve of the sacrifice and launched a sneak attack on Heike, causing the sacrifice to fail and Heike to suffer serious injuries that were difficult to recover from. But at this moment, a monk named Jijin happened to pass by in the distance. Seeing a glimmer of life, Otsutsuki Heike used his eye technique Shomei Biguna to shrink himself and sneaked into Jijin's body. Heike got a chance to catch his breath, and after recovering a little strength, he engraved his own wedge mark on Jijin's body. Just when Kingxie awakened the corpse bone vein and emitted an inexplicable aura, Jijin, who was meditating in the temple, suddenly stopped practicing. His body changed unconsciously, and strange black marks appeared on his body and face, which was the initial state of the wedge. The breath of a newborn Otsutsuki. After 1,000 years, the blood of the Otsutsuki has been born again in this world, although it is still very weak. Heike's slightly excited voice came out, also, this is the breath of that bitch Kagaya. It seems to be her descendant. It's so wonderful, a body with Otsutsuki bloodline, even if it's only the original one, but it can be fully used to realize my resurrection. Heike's mood fluctuated. Jijin was able to live a long life because he was engraved with the wedge seal by Heike and became the carrier of Heike's resurrection. However, Heike's power was too strong for the native people of the ninja world, and Jijin was just an ordinary monk in the ninja world. He could not be a qualified carrier to completely resurrect Otsutsuki Ishiki, and he could not even exert Ishiki's strength for a long time. Therefore, Ishiki had been troubled for a long time because he could not find a suitable body vessel, which made it impossible for him to complete his reincarnation smoothly. It's no wonder that Ishiki was so excited when he suddenly sensed Kingxi's presence at this moment. After all, this is a body with Otsutsuki bloodline. Although the bloodline is weak, it has a foundation. Weak bloodline also means low strength, which is the most suitable body for Ishiki at this time. If it is an Otsutsuki whose bloodline has evolved to a great degree or is already complete, such as the Six Paths brothers or Indra and Ashura, then Ishiki will definitely hide as far as he can. The breath he sensed was coming from the far east. Jixian returned to normal, slowly stood up, and set out on the journey to find Kingxi. At this time, after driving away the two senior ninjas, Genji returned to Kyoshi's house with a complicated expression. Looking at his son who was still fainted on the ground, his heart gradually became firm. I thought his body wouldn't be able to support his awakening in such a harsh environment, but I didn't expect his talent to be so high. Genji thought in admiration, it seems he is destined to become a ninja. Ouch! Kingxi slowly opened his eyes and rubbed his dizzy head. Father, what's wrong with me? Come and sit down when you're awake. Genji's words came in a calm voice, without any emotion at all. Kingxi slowly got up from the ground, and gradually recalled what had just happened. He slowly walked to Genji and sat down with difficulty. The exhaustion of chakra made him extremely uncomfortable. Can you still use the 10-finger bullet piercing technique you just used? Genji asked. 10 fingers piercing bullets. Ching Si asked in confusion, what is that? It's the ninjutsu you used to break the wall just now. It's a ninjutsu that shoots high-speed bone-piercing bullets from the fingertips of both hands to attack. Genji explained. I'm sorry, father. I just saw a bone spur popping out of my finger, and then I fainted. Kingxi replied sheepishly, a little embarrassed. Yes, with a weak body and the newly awakened corpse veins. Genji was not surprised. But you can use 10 fingers to pierce bullets instinctively right after awakening. Your talent is far higher than mine. Okay, let's do this for now. Go and rest, and recover your chakra. We can talk about any problems tomorrow. After saying that, Genji got up and left Kyoshi's house. Yes, father. Kyoshi responded respectfully, suppressing his urgency to know the details. Since Genji knew what happened to him, there was no need to rush. Corpse vein, is this the name of the ability that my body produces? Ching Si thought curiously. With a little trepidation and curiosity, he slowly fell asleep and fell into a deep sleep. In this remote area, Seiji's body slowly became stained with a layer of divine light while he was sleeping, and he emitted an inexplicable aura again. Except for Ishiki who felt the aura of the Otsutsuki, no one knew that a young man in a remote part of the ninja world, while awakening his bloodline, also made his bloodline return to its ancestral state and became a newborn Otsutsuki. Chapter 4. The next morning, Kingxi opened his eyes and stretched unconsciously. He heard a crackling sound similar to popping beans coming from all over his body. Comfortable. Kingxi came back to his senses, clenched his fists, and felt his body full of strength. After a night of deep sleep, the chakra was refilled in his body, and he no longer felt weak like last night. I stood up and walked out of the house, and saw Genji sitting at the table in the hall. Come and have breakfast, and then we'll start today's study. Genji said to Kyoshi. Kyoshi's awakening and strong talent made Genji's dark world seem like a ray of light. In the ninja world full of fighting, Genji, who just turned 30, is already considered middle-aged. The middle-aged man who used to live a decadent life got up early today for the first time in a few years and cooked again. Although it was just a simple vegetable porridge, it was a great surprise for Ching Si who had not eaten the food cooked by his father for a long time. Yes, father. Kingxi came to the table and sat down, I'm going to eat. After eating and drinking, the father and son cleaned up together and sat back down at the table. Father. Kyoshi looked at Genji with expectant eyes. I know your heart is full of doubts, confusion, and curiosity. Don't worry, let's talk slowly. Genji grinned, his face, which had been numb and expressionless all year round, seemed to be laughing and crying. I've already said it last night. This ability is called Corpse Bloodline. It's the bloodline limit passed down from generation to generation in our Kagaya clan. However, because this bloodline is too powerful, very few people in the clan can awaken it. Only those with extremely high talents can awaken it. Then Genji sighed, no, I don't know if you can still bear the Kagaya surname. Our family has been expelled from the clan. Dad is sorry for you. The corpse bone vein is an ability to freely manipulate bones throughout the body, and use it for defense or attack. Anything related to bone, such as osteoblasts, osteoclasts, calcium concentration, etc., can be manipulated without limit. Bones blessed by chakra can be said to be the hardest substance in the ninja world. At least I have not seen anything harder than my bones. At the same time, after awakening the corpse bone vein, our bodies also have the ability to heal injuries quickly. Genji slowly took off his clothes and activated the obscure chakra in his body. Several bone spikes appeared on Genji's chest, back, and arms. As the chakra fluctuated, Genji shouted, and bone spikes broke out of his body, looking a little hideous. This is the corpse bone vein. Bones can grow out from any part of the body at any time according to our control. Genji took a breath and continued to explain, these bones are the strongest spears when attacking, and they can also be our strongest shields when defending. Dad's body was severely injured in the war when he was young, so it is difficult for him to use chakra. Once you learn to manipulate the corpse bone veins proficiently, your bones will actually grow very quickly. Genji's tone sounded a little unwilling. You should have found the scroll left by your mother before. There are only ordinary escape techniques in it. Your mother did not awaken the corpse bone vein. She did not have the training method of the corpse bone vein and the subsequent related bloodline ninjutsu. Yes, father. Kyoshi was still trying to digest the various information that Genji had just conveyed to him. Genji collected the bone spurs on his body, then crossed his arms to hold the bone spurs on his arms, and with a little force pulled the bone spurs out of his body. He handed the 2 bone blades to Kingxi and demonstrated to him that the broken bones had been quickly healed under the effect of chakra. Dad has never given you a decent gift. I have strengthened these 2 bone blades with my chakra and will give them to you for self-defense. Thank you, father. I like it very much. Kingxi happily put away the bone blade and kept it close to his body with great care. This was the first time his father had given him a gift since he could remember. Our situation is not very good. The damn Kagaya Musashi has been sending people to monitor and watch over us. If he knew that you had awakened your bloodline so early, he would definitely take action. So Dad can't teach you ninjutsu personally. Genji said hatefully and sighed deeply. Genji bit his finger, slowly formed a seal, and lightly slapped the ground. Psychic art. A puff of white smoke dissipated, and an ancient ink-colored scroll appeared on the ground. This is the blood scroll passed down by our lineage. Genji married the daughter of the 6th elder, so he is considered the 6th elder's lineage. It records the training methods of the corpse bone vein as well as the various ninjutsu and taijutsu that can be used in conjunction with the corpse bone vein. Today, Dad will teach you this summoning technique. After you learn it, you can practice according to the scroll. If you have any questions during the practice, come and ask me. Remember to stay away. Those people's main target is me, and they are unlikely to pay attention to you. Come on, learn the art of spiritualism first. After you learn it, you can use this scroll to channel spirits at any time. Summoning is a type of space-time ninjutsu, and its level is roughly sea level. One of them is blood contract summoning, which can summon creatures to assist ninjas in battle. It is necessary to sign a blood contract with the summoned creatures before summoning. The size of the summoned creatures is also related to the amount of chakra of the summoned creature. Let's not talk about this for now, and Dad didn't have a summoning beast before. Genji smiled. Most members of the Kagaya clan prefer close combat. Although they also know various ninjutsu, most of them rarely use them in battle. The second is non-blood contract summoning, which can summon objects stored elsewhere. This is the item spiritualism we want to learn. First, inject your chakra into the summoning circle on the scroll, and then leave your blood. Then, when you want to summon the scroll in the future, the scroll stored in our ancestral hall will be summoned through the medium of chakra and your blood. Genji explained, Hai Su Yu Shen Wei, these are the 5 seals of summoning. The summoning technique is not difficult to master. With your talent, you should be able to do it after practicing a few more times. Kingxi, who was in contact with ninjutsu for the first time, was full of curiosity. He recalled the hand seals that Genji had just made, and bit his fingers like his father. He then slowly began to make hand seals with both hands, Hai Su Yu Shen Wei. Chakra flowed rapidly in his body with the help of the hand seals. After all, it was Kingsee's first time to make hand seals, so he danced his hands awkwardly. It took him 5 seconds to make 5 hand seals, and he slapped the ground with one hand. Psychic art. When the smoke cleared, Genji's eyes widened as he looked at the scroll that had moved to a new position on the ground. He couldn't help but once again marvel at his son's talent. Was this successful, father? Kingsea asked, his tone revealing the excitement of performing a ninjutsu for the first time. It succeeded. It succeeded on the first try. You are worthy of being my son. You can cancel the chakra supply and let the scroll return to its original position. Genji continued, then you can go out, walk farther away, and practice step by step according to the scroll. Yes, father, then I will set off. Kyoshi stood up and said respectfully to Genji. Chapter 5. By the lake, Ching Si sat quietly on the ground with a large scroll spread out in front of him. It was the blood scroll containing records of the corpse bone vein that he had just summoned using the psychic technique. 10 fingers piercing bullets, this must be the move my father mentioned that I used unconsciously that day. Mobilize the chakra to the finger meridians, manipulate the osteoclasts to shoot the phalanges of the 10 fingers as bullets, and then manipulate the bone bud cells to control the calcium concentration to accelerate the formation of new phalanges. With the power of the corpse bone vein, the phalanges can grow infinitely, and even if all the phalanges are fired, they can be remade. I see. The scroll explained the technique and its corresponding usage and practice methods very clearly. Kingseea slowly mobilized the chakra in his body according to the description, spread his 5 fingers, and pointed his hands at the lake in front of him. Corpse bone vein 10 finger piercing bullet. The white finger bones broke through from the fingertips, quickly detached, and shot forward. Wow! The lake surface was splashed with water where it was hit. So powerful! Kingseea exclaimed, and it seems that the power of this move is also related to the output strength of chakra. If it is well controlled, it can even be fired continuously. Then let's try a higher power output. Kingseea mobilized nearly half of the chakra in his body, and poured it into his fingertips according to the running route described in the scroll, and once again used his 10 fingers to penetrate the bullet. Boom! Accompanied by an even louder explosion, the lake waves were stirred up to more than 3 meters high. Kingseea stared in amazement at the huge waves rising on the lake. What a powerful force! He murmured. Well, then first learn to master the 10-finger bullet penetration, so that you can control the power and master the continuous firing. Genji and Seiji, who had not yet awakened his past life memories, did not understand it at that time, and it can also be said that no one in the ninja world today understands it. The bloodline that Seiji awakened was not the ordinary bloodline limit of the Kagaya clan, but a reversion to his ancestor during the awakening process, and he had initially acquired some of the bloodline characteristics of his ancestor Kagaya Otsutsuki. This is the Otsutsuki bloodline, which is far higher in level than the Hyuga clan's bloodline. Although it is only the very thin and newly born Otsutsuki bloodline, it already possesses some of the characteristics of the Otsutsuki. Therefore, Seiji's talent in manipulating chakra and learning various techniques is undoubtedly strong. In just 2 days, Kingseea had mastered the 10-finger piercing technique very well. He could freely control the power and rate of fire, and switch between single shot and continuous fire at will. Kingseea can even achieve more precise control than the ancestors of the Hyuga clan. He can control the number of bone bullets and can shoot bone bullets with 1 or several fingers alone. In this way, for the next year and a half, Kingseea came to the lake far away from the village every day to practice chakra and bloodline. The time has come to the 27th year of Kirigakure. The 8-year-old Kingsea's height has grown to 140 centimeters due to the awakening of his blood, and his physical condition has also been greatly improved. Although he still looks thin, his strength is hidden deep inside his body and should not be underestimated. Every joint in his body reveals strength under the influence of the corpse bone veins, just like the pine trees in the mountains, tough and powerful. With day after day of training and the effect of bloodline awakening, Kingsea's chakra amount has reached the level of an elite chunin. Although Kingseea has never fought with other ninjas due to exile, his combat power of a chunin should be no problem. There is no comparison with a white-haired guy who graduated at the age of 5 and became a chunin at the age of 6. The living environment is too bad, and the protagonist awakened too late. Although he has good talent, he started too late. By the lake, a young man is dancing gracefully, his feet taking mysterious and profound steps, his body moving with the wind, like a free bird, as light as the wind and as free as the sunshine. Every turn and every leap makes people feel incomparably light. Looking closely, the dance is full of power and tension. Every movement seems to be accumulating energy and the steps are as smooth as flowing water, but it contains endless murderous intent, which makes people dare not be careless at all. The young man was Kingsi, and this dance step was exactly the attack method of the secret bloodline of the Kagaya clan. In a year and a half, Kingsi mastered most of the techniques of the corpse bone vein with his extraordinary talent. He has already mastered the willow dance, camellia dance, karamatsu dance, and wicker flower dance. Although he cannot currently perform the ultimate level early fern dance due to chakra limitations, he has already memorized the method of release. And the two forbidden techniques engraved at the end of the bloodline scroll, corpse bone vein, burning blood technique, and corpse bone vein, ash bone technique, which gathers all the chakra and vitality of the whole body for only one strike in the state of burning blood. King Ji also mastered them all as his life-threatening trump cards. Corpse vein, willow dance, there are no fixed moves, just like willow catkins moving in the wind, it dissolves the enemy's attacks and uses gentle physical techniques without any unnecessary movements to coordinate a series of attacks with bones. Corpse vein, tsubaki dance, pull out bone knives from both arms as weapons, and use precise and flexible physical techniques to make multiple consecutive attacks. Corpse vein, karamatsu dance, utilizes bloodline limit to grow dozens of bones on the body. In close combat, it can strike the enemy while having high defense to withstand impact. The more powerful the enemy's physical skills or sprint attack, the more powerful the counterattack effect will be, causing serious damage to the enemy. Corpse vein dance of the wire flower, it is divided into two parts, the vine and the flower, and used to make the spine like a whip to attack and restrain the enemy. After blocking the enemy's movements, the strongest hardened bones are formed on the outside of the hands to attack as spears, which has both control and damage, and is extremely powerful. Corpse vein, dance of early ferns, outputs a huge amount of chakra, and sharpened bones grow from the ground to attack the opponent. The size of the bones depends on the size of the chakra, and the bones basically cover the entire ground, like a forest of bones. It is a terrifying move that makes the enemy suffer a comprehensive attack and is hard to defend. Even if the enemy cannot be knocked down with the bone blade, the practitioner can still quickly move around the growing bone forest to attack. Corpse veins, burning blood technique, a forbidden technique that acts on oneself, burning one's own blood and turning it into extremely powerful energy to amplify one's own moves. While the technique is in effect, it can enable elite jonin to gain strength that rivals that of a kage. After the effect of the technique ends, the user's strength will be greatly reduced due to the burning of the blood. Corpse veins, ash bone technique, derived from Kagaya Otsutsuki's ash bone technique, it is a degraded skill, but still has the characteristics of annihilation. It is a life and death technique engraved in the blood of the Kagaya clan. It burns the blood power of the whole body, making the blood temporarily attached to Kagaya, condensing the chakra and vitality of the whole body into a grey bone spur. If the enemy hit does not have a special life-saving move, he will die. Similarly, for the operator, it is a move that will kill him after using it. Uchiha has Izanagi, who was able to compete with Uchiha during the Warring States period. As a descendant of Hamura, it is reasonable for Kagaya to have a weakened version of Heigoku. Chapter 6. In the waters of the Land of Water, on a sailing ship, the monk Jijin stood by the side of the ship. After a long journey, he finally got close to the breath of Otsutsuki, but at the same time, Jijin's body was becoming more and more overwhelmed and on the verge of collapse. Izhaiki's injuries were still very serious at this time, and he had not evolved the wedge through the natural energy of the vessel as described in the unflammable legend. Izhaiki's consciousness spent most of the time in a deep sleep, trying to repair his injuries. Only the monk named Jijin, who had been assimilated into his puppet, was left to move in the ninja world based on instinct. After sensing Seiji's breath, Izhaiki could no longer bear Jijin's weak body, so he decided to find Seiji and use Seiji's body to complete his reincarnation and resurrection. Time goes back to the present. Kingsi, who had just awakened his past life memories, did not know that a fatal crisis had arrived. "Father, can you tell me about the Hidden Mist Village and the Kagaya clan?" Seiji asked Genji after returning home. Although he had some memories about the Naruto world from his previous life, he really lacked knowledge about the Land of Water and the Hidden Mist Village. Kirigakure and Kagaya, that's such a distant story. The Kagaya clan is a bloodline clan that has been passed down in the ninja world for 1,000 years. During the Warring States period, we lived in the Land of Fire. At that time, we could compete with the Senju and Uchiha clans. But in the late Warring States period, two perverts appeared, the Senju Hashirama, who was later called the god of ninja, and the Uchiha Madara, the Shura of the ninja world. The most ridiculous thing is that the two strongest people actually shook hands and made peace in the end. Those of us who did not want to unite with the Senju and Uchiha clans were driven out of the land of fire one after another. Under the threat of Uchiha Madara's force, we were driven to the sea and had no choice but to settle down in the land of water. At that time, the strongest ninja of the Kagaya clan was the Great Elder who had just entered the clan leader level, which is now called the Cage level. In the land of water, he could only lead the clan members to protect themselves. Later, under the contact of Master Balian, the first Mizu Cage, we united with the Snow clan with Ice Escape and the Kizuna clan with Secret Water Escape, and jointly established the Hidden Mist Village. Since the Kagaya clan is a clan that advocates force and has a strong martial spirit, the clan members have bad tempers and often fight with other ninjas in the Hidden Mist Village. Therefore, not long after we jointly established the village, we moved out of the Hidden Mist Village and lived near the Hidden Mist Village. However, there are still many clan members working in the Hidden Mist Village. Although my father was young at the time, his strength was one of the best in the village. Therefore, after the death of the first generation Byakuren, he became a member of the guard team of the second generation Mizu Cage Gengetsu. In the 12th year of Kirigakure, the ninja god Senju Hashirama was confirmed dead. The Fire Country and Konoha, which had lost their strongest and most fertile land, became popular, and a war that swept the entire ninja world broke out. The four great ninja villages of Iwagakure, Kirigakure, Kumigakure, and Sandagakure joined forces to attack the Fire Country's Konoha village. However, they did not expect that even though Konoha had lost the god of ninjas, it was still the only one that dominated the ninja world. In desperation, the four nations could only choose to stop fighting and form an alliance with Konoha after their defeat. After more than a year of recuperation, the four cages attempted revenge together, and the war broke out again. The Raikage chose to attack Konoha first, and after being defeated by Konoha, they chose to form an alliance with Konoha again. However, they did not expect that at the alliance ceremony of the Hidden Cloud Village, Kinkaku and Ginkaku of the Hidden Cloud Village launched a rebellion and killed the second Raikage and the second Hokage. Kirigakure and Iwagakure saw the opportunity and attacked Konoha at the same time. However, a dramatic scene occurred. The Kirigakure and Iwagakure fought each other over the ownership of Konoha's spoils. The second Mizu Cage Gengetsu led the Shadow Guards and the Anbu as an elite team to raid the land of Earth. At that time, my father was already the captain of the Shadow Guards. Unexpectedly, the intelligence was leaked, and we were ambushed by the second Tsuchikage Mu at the border of the land of Earth. The Mizu Cage and the Tsuchikage got into a fight and eventually both died. Our Shadow Guards also suffered heavy losses, and in the end, only my father and 7 other Anbu members returned to the village with serious injuries. The one who inherited the title of Mizu Cage is Master Bing, who once served as the bodyguard of the first Byakuren-sama. Master Bing is from the Snow clan and possesses a bloodline limit called Ice Release. If Dad can recover from his injuries, he should be able to continue to serve as the captain of Master Bing's Shadow Guard. Your mother should have told you about what happened later. Dad's recovery from his serious injury was not perfect. His strength declined and he lost most of his voice in the clan. In the following 3 years, he was even suppressed repeatedly by your uncle after he took the throne. In the 19th year of Kirigakure, not long after you were born, the 6th elder, your grandfather, disappeared in a mission. Our lineage lost its pillar before you even grew up. My brother, who had already firmly established himself as the clan leader, suddenly launched an attack and united most of the clan elders to expel our family. Thinking of what happened 8 years ago and the death of his wife 5 years ago, Genji's eyes turned red and filled with tears. The reason they used is so ridiculous. They actually said that you, who inherited my and Yukiko's blood, had a horn growing on my son's forehead and that his bloodline had mutated. At first, I also thought that there was indeed something wrong with your bloodline. After all, our Hyuga clan has never had a case of horns growing on the forehead in the past 1,000 years of inheritance. But now you have awakened the corpse vein, which shows that they are simply looking for a random reason to suppress us. What Genji didn't expect was that Seiji's bloodline had indeed mutated, but it was an extremely rare benign atavism. The double horns on his forehead were the symbol of the Otsutsuki of Genji's bloodline, the bloodline of the Hyuga clan. We are under guard here now. The damned Kagaya Musashi sent 2 jonins for a half-useless person like me. Genji said in hatred, Dad's current strength can only keep him undefeated against one of them. If there are 2 of them, he may not last more than a minute. Only when your strength is improved to the level of a jonin, with the support of the corpse vein, we should be able to escape from here. So many years have passed, and Kagaya Musashi has also awakened the corpse bloodline. With his resources as the clan leader, he is now likely to have the strength of a cage. There is no hope for Dad, and revenge can only depend on you. Genji sighed. After listening to Genji's story, Kyoshi had a preliminary understanding of the land of water and the hidden mist village, and also knew in detail the internal struggles of the Hyuga clan. Leave it to me, father. I will practice hard and avenge our family as soon as possible. Kingxi answered firmly. After returning to the house, Kingxi's emotions were still surging like waves. The suffering his family had endured was too much, so much that it was unbearable. It took a long time for Kingxi to gradually regain his composure. He sat cross-legged and began to refine his chakra. The physical energy and spiritual energy produced by the 130 trillion cells in the body continued to mix, and Kingxi's chakra amount was slowly increasing until it reached a certain limit. At the end of the 27th year of Kirigakure, Seiji's chakra level officially reached the level of a jonin. It is assumed that the other 4 major ninja villages were established in the same year as Konoha was established. Chapter 7. The next morning, after having breakfast with Genji, Seiji dressed and prepared to go to the lake for today's training. Outside the village, a monk wearing an elegant and slim white long-sleeved tailcoat and loose black pants was walking slowly in the distance. It was Jijin. Finally found you. Came a murmur. Jixian identified the breath and slowly walked towards Kingxi's house. The remote fishing village was already sparsely populated, with almost no outsiders coming, not to mention that Jijin was walking straight towards Seiji's house, which aroused the vigilance of the 2 senior ninjas. The 2 of them arrived in an instant and blocked Jijin's way. Hey, who are you? The senior ninja named Kagaya Sujito asked loudly. Hat. Jijin looked at the 2 with disdain and expressionless expression. The ninja from Kirigakure, this aura, is it the descendant family of Kagaya? Damn it, stop talking to yourself there. Who are you and what is your purpose here? Another senior ninja named Kagaya Nobai looked at Jijin's arrogant look and couldn't help but get angry. When the 2 saw that Sixian didn't respond, they knew that the person might have ill intentions. They looked at each other and decided to take action first. Sujito stomped his right foot hard on the ground and rushed towards Jijin at an extremely fast speed. Chakra flowed out of his body, wrapped in his right fist, and hit Jijin hard. At the same time, Shania also began to quickly form hand seals in the back, preparing to use ninjutsu to attack. Sixian calmly dodged Shanren's heavy punch, raised his leg sideways, and kicked Shanren in the abdomen. So fast! Shanren was kicked before he could react, and his body fell to the side uncontrollably. Jixian stretched out his right hand and aimed at the Shanren who was kicked away. Several black sticks appeared instantly and pierced into various parts of Shanren's body. Ah! Shanren couldn't help but scream out in pain. The chakra is being sucked away continuously. At the same time, Nobai's ninjutsu was ready, water style, water dragon bullet technique. The surging water gathered in the air to form the shape of a dragon, rushing towards Jijin quickly. Then I'll play with you for a while. Sixian said lightly, then slightly turned sideways to avoid the attacking water dragon. Stop looking down on me. Zenyi said angrily. Then he quickly rushed towards Jijin and threw a punch, which was easily blocked by Jijin. After failing to make a move, Shania immediately jumped into the air with both feet and quickly formed seals with both hands, water style, water fang bullet. The water condensed and swirled, and then a large number of water guns were quickly fired from it towards Jijin. At the same time, Shania adjusted his body in the air and rushed towards Jijin again from top to bottom. His hands kept making hand seals, and a rotating water knife appeared in Shania's hands. Water release water fang blade. Jijin dodged the water gun and grabbed Nobai's hand that was condensing the water sword. Before Nobai could react, the water sword dissipated. Is this the only ability of the Kirigakure ninja? Jijin mocked calmly. Damn it! Shania shouted angrily and attacked Jijin again. His anger had almost made him lose his mind and he could only fight relying on the strong physical instincts of the Hyuga clan. Don't make me waste my time. My purpose has nothing to do with you. Jijin said in a calm tone while dodging all of Nobai's attacks with ease. After saying that, he pointed his right hand towards Shania again, and the invisible chakra wave pushed Shania away fiercely. Several black sticks instantly nailed Shania to the ground. Boring. Sixian sighed, ignored the 2 of them, and walked straight towards the target direction. The sounds of the battle and the fluctuations of chakra and ninjutsu were already sensed by Ciji and his son. Genji said to Ciji with a serious expression, "It looks like they are coming for our house. I will cover you, you go first." However, before Kingxi walked out of the yard, the sounds of fighting outside had subsided. It seems that today's level will be difficult. I was able to eliminate 2 Jonin of the Hyuga clan in a short time. Although they were ordinary Jonin who had not awakened their bloodline, I couldn't do it so quickly before. Genji thought with a grim expression. For the sake of my son, I have to fight hard today. Genji made up his mind secretly. Sixian walked slowly, his confidence in his own strength making him not anxious at all. When he came in front of Kingxi, a hint of excitement finally appeared on his expressionless face all day. "Come on, mortal, become one with God!" Jijin shouted at Kingxi in a fanatical tone. Looking at Jijin who was approaching, Kingxi's face looked extremely ugly. He recognized the monk-looking man in front of him, is Heike Otsutsuki's puppet, Jijin who served as the leader of the Kara organization in Unburnt. Although there are still decades before the unflammable legend, and Otsutsuki is Heike's injuries will only be more serious, he is a real Otsutsuki after all. This is truly a devastating start. Ciji, who had just awakened his past life memories, lamented in his heart. Having seen the clips of Kawaki and Otsutsuki is Heike, Ciji felt Jijin's undisguised malice towards him and knew clearly what Otsutsuki is Heike wanted to do. Kiyoshi, who had never come into contact with other ninjas, was not clear about the ninja's fighting style, but as for Jijin, who had been confirmed to be an enemy, Kiyoshi went for Jijin's vital points as soon as he made his first move. The chakra in the body suddenly erupted, and the bones in the body quickly grew out of the body, condensing into a huge white bone drill shaped like a flower on the entire right arm. Corpse bone vein dance of the iron wire flower. Flower. The huge bone drill attacked Yushiki. As a puppet of Otsutsuki is Heike, Jijin also had the Otsutsuki clan's condescending attitude towards ordinary people. In addition, Ciji was just a young boy, and most of his Heike's consciousness was still asleep. Jijin was careless and was hit hard by the maidenhair flower. Although Jijin's physical strength had become very high after thousands of years of training, he still suffered minor injuries when he encountered the Shikotsuki that was strengthened by chakra, which could be called the toughest thing in the ninja world. He was also knocked back several steps by this attack. "Hey!" Sixian got up from the ground, "I underestimated you, an ant, you can actually hurt me." "Kiyoshi, step back. This is not an enemy you can deal with. I will stop him, you go away." Genji stood between Kiyoshi and Jijin and shouted to Kiyoshi. "Another one coming to die." Sixian remained calm. Genji raised his arms horizontally, with his 10 fingers pointing towards Jijin. Corpse bone vein 10-finger piercing bullet. 10 white bone bullets flew out of his hand quickly and flew towards Jixian. Jixian did not dodge, but opened the 5 fingers of his right hand, and a long black stick appeared. Jixian held the black stick in his right hand and swept it across the bone bullets. The chakra storm he created perfectly defended against the bone bullets that were shot at high speed. So strong, ready to fight to the death. Genji thought to himself, slowly forming seals with his hands and shouting at the same time. "Go quickly." "Yes, take care, father." Kingxi looked at Genji, his only father in 2 lives, with tears in his eyes. He knew that his father was going to use forbidden techniques. Corpse vein burning blood technique. After completing the 20 seals, Genji's solemn voice came out word by word. Chapter 8. Let me explain it. I see many people say that Jijin is not that weak. The key issue is that the powerful one is Jijin more than 50 years later. According to the introduction in the official intelligence book, it is because as Heike completed and evolved the wedge with Jijin's natural energy, and as Heike's injuries have been greatly improved, so he can crush Naruto and Sasuke in combat power. At this point in time, as Heike was still seriously injured and was sleeping most of the time, Wada had not evolved through natural energy, and Jijin was just a monk who had lived a little longer. There is combat power, but not much. Not as strong as imagined, and not unmatched. In other words, isn't this also to give the protagonist a chance to cheat, so Jijin and his Heike had to die one by one. As the blood-burning secret technique was performed, the blood belonging to the Hyuga clan in Genji's body suddenly boiled, the chakra increased rapidly at an exponential rate, and the aura also increased rapidly. The surging chakra in his body made Genji unable to hold back a mouthful of blood, and then he could barely control his body. His strength also reached the level of a beginner cage. Clenching his fists, Genji now felt that he could rival the Mizu cage. Are you using a technique that burns your life? No, what's burning is your blood. Jijin looked at Genji, whose body turned red due to the use of the secret technique, and instantly saw through the essence of the blood-burning technique. Mortal! Jijin sighed with disdain, still arrogant. He didn't think Genji could pose a threat to him. Die! Genji shouted angrily, his body rushed towards Jijin, and he kicked Jijin heavily with his right foot. Jijin raised the black stick and easily blocked Genji's heavy kick. He aimed his left hand at Genji and several black sticks appeared instantly. Genji's keen fighting instinct saved him. Realizing something was wrong, he quickly retreated and narrowly avoided the black stick that appeared at his previous position. What kind of ability is this, space-time ninjutsu? Genji secretly analyzed Jijin's abilities. At the moment, it looks like the attack is launched from the position where the hands are pointing, so let's try this move. Genji quickly made a new battle plan. Corpse Bone Pulse Chun's Dance. Genji drew a bone blade from each arm and rushed towards Jijin again. Wielding both blades, Genji danced with exquisite steps and attacked Jijin fiercely, trying to restrain Jijin's hands. It seems that we need to be a little more serious. Although it is an ant, it is also an ant with a little power. Sixian said lightly. Jijin activated the wedge on his body and entered the first state, with black marks appearing all over his body. Chakra then burst out and forced Genji back, waving the long black stick that had just materialized, sweeping it hard at Genji, who hurriedly blocked it, but was still repelled by the huge force. Jijin raised his left hand again and repeated the same trick. This time a large number of black sticks appeared and shot towards Genji like bullets. Corpse Vein, Dance of the Wire Flower. Vines. Genji put down the bone blade in his hand, pulled out a long spine from his back, turned it into a white bone whip, and waved it vigorously, blocking all the black sticks that were shot at him. Then he took advantage of the situation and swung it towards Jijin, and the long bone whip restrained Jijin's movements. At this time, a huge bone drill quickly condensed on Genji's left arm and stabbed Jijin fiercely. Corpse Vein, Dance of the Wire Flower. Flower. Jijin was unable to dodge and was tied up. His body was already decayed, and he did not want to take the blow head-on. After failing to break free by bursting his chakra, he had no choice but to further release the power of the wedge and enter the second state of the wedge. A horn appeared on Jijin's head, and his aura became even more terrifying. Ridiculous! Jijin sneered and burst out chakra again. This time he easily broke free from the iron wire flower bone whip. Genji's attack missed, but he was not discouraged. The bone drill in his left hand quickly fell off, and Genji slammed the ground with both palms. Corpse Vein, Dance of Early Fern. Densely packed sharp bone spurs broke out of the ground. There were so many of them that they basically covered the entire ground in just a few breaths, like a forest of white bones. Sixian quickly swung the long black stick in his hand, continuously breaking the bone spurs growing all over his body. In an instant, broken bones covered the entire ground. At this time, there was a bone spur behind Jijin that was not broken. Genji used the bone spur to move his position and quietly appeared behind Jijin. The bone drill of the iron wire flower dance condensed on his arm again and stabbed Sixian heavily. When the drill was close to Sixian's body, Sixian finally reacted, but it was too late. Unable to dodge, Sixian was attacked again. A large amount of chakra was gathered together, and a blow close to the limit of cage level was delivered, hitting the arrogant Jijin in the face, and he was finally severely damaged. Sixian, who was knocked away, was furious and no longer as arrogant as before. Mortal, you have angered me. At this time, Jijin's body was damaged, and the consciousness of Otsutsuki Ishiki in his body was also stimulated and was gradually awakening. The furious Jijin threw away the long black stick in his hand and got up from the ground. He aimed his hands at Genji, whose breath was already weakening. Jijin materialized countless black sticks and shot them at Genji madly. Kagai Genji, whose blood had been mostly burned out, struggled to mobilize the bone spurs on the ground for defense, but there were too many black sticks. Genji, whose strength had begun to decline, could no longer resist and was fiercely stabbed by several black sticks. His body was carried backwards by the huge force and fell heavily to the ground. Cough cough. Genji stood up with difficulty and spat out a large mouthful of blood. The chakra was quickly absorbed by the black stick, and there was only one thought left in Genji's mind, which was to hold back Jijin and protect his child. Looking at Genji, who had lost his fighting ability, Jijin spat out a large mouthful of blood just as he was about to make a move. A sharp pain came over him, and bright red blood began to flow out of his 7 orifices, as if all his vitality was being drained away in an instant. Jijin's body was badly injured in the previous battle, and the life of this body finally came to an end. He was forced to fight with Genji and both sides were injured. After the death of Jijin and his haki in his body, the wedge began to automatically enter the reincarnation state. Since Ishiki had only carved a wedge on Jijin's body at that time, Ishiki, who had not yet had time to carve a wedge on Seiji, could only be forced to use Jijin's wedge to reincarnate. However, due to the fact that the reincarnation was carried out through an unsuitable vessel, Ishiki was not fully resurrected. Not only did he only recover most of his strength, he also only had 2 days left to live. The angry Ishiki wanted to kill Genji, the ant, but reason stopped him. Kyoshi had not escaped far yet, so he wanted to put a wedge in Kyoshi first. Even if he only had 2 days to live, a simple training with the body of a newborn Otsutsuki would be enough for Ishiki to be perfectly reborn again. Pale skin and grey hair, with a long curved horn on the back of the head, like a crown. There is only one eyebrow on the forehead, which grows above the right eye. The right eye has a golden wheel-shaped pattern, with 8 triangles surrounding the pupil, and the left eye's pupil is pure white. Genji looked at Ishiki, who had almost become a different person. Being very familiar with the Hyuga clan, he instantly recognized the Byakugan in Ishiki's left eye. Then, when he saw the single horn on Ishiki's forehead, many guesses emerged in his mind. Now is the period between the First Ninja World War and the Second Ninja World War. At this time, the wedge on Jijin's body has not evolved with the help of natural energy, and its strength is not as terrifying as that of the unflammable legend decades later. Set as normal, Jijin is equivalent to an elite Jonin, the strength of wedge state 1 is equivalent to ordinary cage level, and the strength of wedge state 2 is equivalent to cage level, and the limit of cage is close to super cage level. Ishiki, who has just been resurrected, is still seriously injured and his strength has declined seriously, which is equivalent to super cage level. Chapter 9. Seeing Ishiki turn around and chase in the direction where Kyoshi fled, Genji ignored the various speculations that had just arisen in his mind and struggled to pull out the black rod that was inserted into his body. Every time a black stick was pulled out, a large amount of blood was drawn. Genji became increasingly weak, and the fire of life could be extinguished at any time. Genji endured the pain, and once again gathered up the only 20% to 30% of the chakra left in his body, and staggered towards Kingxi. On the other side, Kyoshi, who had been caught up, was forced to fight with Ishiki. Ching Si, who had no combat experience, could only start with long-range attacks to test the waters. Kingxi used the prince's tactics. Corpse bone vein 10-finger piercing bullet. Kingxi pointed his 10 fingers at Ishiki, and the chakra in his body that had reached the level of a Jonin quickly gathered at his fingertips. Bone bullets rushed towards Ishiki in waves. The dense and high-speed bone bullets hit Ishiki's body and the nearby ground, raising a huge cloud of dust. When Kingxi saw that the attack was effective, a smile appeared on his face involuntarily. If nothing unexpected happened, there would most likely be an accident. According to the law of smoke but no injuries, when the smoke cleared, Kingxi saw Ishiki, whose clothes were not even torn and whose face was expressionless. His pupil shrank, and he felt timid and took a half-step back. Compared with other people of the same age, in the cannibalistic world of the ninja world where children can go to the battlefield at the age of 5 or 6, although Kingxi has a strong heart, he has never experienced any fighting during this period of time and is as immature as a baby. Give up struggling, mortal. My name is Otsutsuki Ishiki, and I am the god of this planet. Just merge with me and become the vehicle for my resurrection. Looking at Seiji's timid face, Ishiki showed a satisfied look on his face. He finally found the attitude that a god should have towards mortals, and walked slowly towards Seiji with a proud look on his face. Now I can sleep well. Ishiki thought as he walked. Although his steps were slow, every step he took was exactly in time with Kingxi's heartbeat. Damn it, move quickly. I can't just die here. With cold sweat all over his cheeks and a look of unwillingness, Kingxi roared in his heart. Genji, who was running fast in the distance, saw this scene, his eyes were bloodshot, and he endured the pain all over his body and sped up again. Puchi! Just when Ishiki was about to approach Kyoshi finally used all his strength to get rid of the state of fear. He picked up the bone blade that Genji gave to Kyoshi and kept it close to his body. He stabbed it hard into his thigh, and blood gushed out immediately. Using the pain to escape his fear, Kingxi finally moved, stomping hard on the ground with his still intact leg, and retreating backwards at a high speed. Oh? Not bad, mortal. Ishiki smiled disdainfully, with the arrogance like a cat playing with a mouse on his face. With a wave of his hand, a huge wave of chakra blasted towards Kingxi. Even though the physique of the awakened corpse bone vein has the effect of self-recovery, the time of awakening is too short after all. In addition, the current strength gap between Ishiki and Kiyoshi is too huge. Kiyoshi, who has no time to dodge, is hit by the chakra wave and is thrown heavily, falling to the ground like a rag. Ishiki looked at Kingxi who was lying on the ground, and several black sticks emerged and inserted into Kingxi's body. Ah! Kingxi, who had never fought with anyone in his past or present life, couldn't help but scream loudly. The huge gap in strength made Kingxi unable to resist and he was immediately seriously injured. Genji became more and more anxious. Looking at his son who was seriously injured and in such a miserable state, he felt extremely distressed. Ishiki walked up to Kingxi, stretched out his right hand and picked up Kingxi who had lost his fighting ability, activated the wedge, and black tattoos quickly covered Kingxi's body. Ishiki increased the output of chakra, and the wedge that had just been carved quickly entered a thawing state. Ishiki's disdainful indulgence and playfulness finally bought time for Genji to arrive. Just as Ishiki was about to make another effort to completely thaw the wedge, Genji, who had tried his best, finally arrived in front of Cg and used his remaining little strength to kick Ishiki away. Genji, who was already at the end of his rope, could no longer suppress his wounded body. He spat out another large mouthful of blood, supported himself on the ground with his hands and half knelt. His breath suddenly dropped, and only 1 or 2% of the blood in his body was left after burning. Ishiki, who was kicked away by the sneak attack, stood up and straightened his clothes which were slightly wrinkled due to the childish fight just now. Ishiki walked towards Cg again. At this time, in the eyes of Otsutsuki Ishiki, both Genji and Cg had lost the power to resist. Kingxi, lying on the ground unable to move, was like a lamb to be slaughtered, waiting for him to thaw the wedge he had just carved and finally complete his reincarnation. Genji, who was almost paralyzed on the ground, stood between Ishiki and Kiyoshi. Ishiki raised his foot and kicked Genji with disdain. It happened in a flash, and Genji used up his last bit of strength to hold on tightly to Ishiki's kicking leg. Oh, how can an ant compete with God? Ishiki didn't care about Genji's final struggle at all. He bent down slightly, raised his hand and was about to grab Genji's hair and throw him out. Genji turned his head and looked at his son, his eyes filled with endless love, attachment and reluctance. Let's die together. You who claim to be a god, now feel the wrath of an ant. The remaining blood in Genji's body began to burn, and all the remaining chakra and vitality in his body gathered together. A grey bone spur quickly appeared on the palm of his right hand, and he stabbed it hard into Ishiki's thigh which was within reach. Corpse Vein, Ashbone Technique. This is the final blow of the ninja named Kagaya Genji. It's the grey bone spur that bitch Kagaya killed together. Ishiki, who had been calm at first, was horrified when he saw the grey bone spur on Genji's hand. The Almighty God finally showed his fear. At that time, he was ambushed by Kagaya's ashbone. Even in his prime, he was completely deprived of his combat effectiveness after being hit by this move. In the end, he panicked and was eaten by the furious Ten Tails, which had half of its body eaten. Yi Shi, who has not yet recovered and is still seriously injured, cannot withstand the destructive power of this move at all, and he is likely to die. Panicked as if she had lost Li Ji, Yashiki hurriedly tried to release her chakra to get away from Genji, but Yashiki's action of riding the wind and breaking the waves just now gave Genji the opportunity to get close and fight for his life. Now it was too late to think about getting away, the grey bone spur had already touched Yashiki. Ah! Ishiki let out an unpleasant whimper. Although Genji's ashbone technique has the effect of annihilating anyone who touches it, there is ultimately a huge gap between mortals and gods, and this attack cannot kill Ishiki directly. But for Yi Shi, who was already seriously injured and forced to reincarnate, such a fatal injury finally put an end to his life. Ignoring Genji, who was already covered in cracks but looked horrified as Ishiki was not annihilated, Ishiki took his last breath and came to Cg again. He lifted Kingxi up with all his strength, circulating his chakra, wanting to completely thaw the wedge at the last moment of his life and thus complete another reincarnation. Boom! At this moment, the Kingxi in Ishiki's hand turned into a puff of white smoke and drifted away with the wind. He. On the other side, Qingxi's figure emerged, barely kneeling on the ground with one hand. Although the corners of his mouth were full of blood, his face was full of relief as if he had survived a disaster. It turns out that what Otsutsuki was holding in his hand just now was a shadow clone of Kingxi. The short video of the unflammable legend that he watched in his previous life played a big role. While Otsutsuki's attention was focused on Genji's ashbone technique, Kingxi endured the severe pain and took the opportunity to successfully use the only ninjutsu he remembered from his previous life, the shadow clone technique created by the second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, while his real body secretly hid aside. It can be said that Kingxi was not destined to die. Thanks to Kingxi's outstanding talent, after awakening the memories of his past life, he quickly learned the shadow clone ninjutsu that runs through the entire history of Naruto. Looking at his empty hands, with a look of astonishment and unwillingness, Otsutsuki's body began to gradually collapse, and his life came to an end. Genji, who used the ashbone technique, also began to develop cracks on his body, like broken porcelain. A gust of wind blew, and when Genji saw that his son Cg was safe and sound, his body also floated away with the wind, leaving only a pool of ashes on the ground. No! Kingxi roared in pain, tears flowing uncontrollably, his last relative was gone. Kingji's body was in great pain because the black rod inserted into his body suppressed his chakra, causing his self-healing ability to fail and unable to recover. However, no matter how painful the physical pain was, it could not compare to his heartache. In agony, Kingxi pounded the ground with his fists. The pain of losing his loved ones was like a sword piercing his heart, gnawing at his heart continuously. At this moment, Kingxi hated himself for being weak, and he finally understood a truth. In this ninja world, strength is respected after all, dignity is fought out by swords and ninja tools, and the truth is only within the range of ninjutsu. The road to growth is always accompanied by ups and downs and pain. A cruel upheaval made Cg, who lived in a peaceful era in his previous life, quickly adapt to this ninja world full of contradictions, and also accelerated his growth. Kingxi's voice had begun to become hoarse. He raised his head and saw that his originally handsome and charming face was covered with traces of dried tears. His lively eyes had lost their light and became extremely dim. After a long time, he finally calmed down his heavy mood. Kingxi gritted his teeth and pulled out the black sticks that were inserted into his body, and the chakra began to flow in his body again. The enhanced physique after the awakening of the corpse bone bloodline took effect, and Kingxi's body recovered rapidly. A quarter of an hour later, Kingxi's body regained some mobility. He picked up the black stick beside him, supported himself, and staggered away step by step. Chapter 10. After an unknown amount of time, Kagaya Sujito and Kagaya Nobunaga, who were knocked unconscious by Otsutsuki at the entrance of the village, slowly woke up. The two looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They stood up with difficulty, pulled out the black sticks inserted in their bodies, supported each other, and walked towards the place where the battle took place. "Who is that monk? He could defeat both of us in an instant." Shenron asked in confusion. The two people who were shallow-minded and arrogant had no idea how powerful the real strong were. The Kagaya clan, under the leadership of Kagaya Musashi, became more and more brainless and arrogant. The two of them usually showed no respect to the Mizukage, and even dared to think of competing with him. The two of them who didn't know Otsutsuki's ability couldn't imagine where such a strong person existed in the ninja world. When they arrived at the place where Genji and Jijin fought, they looked at the bones and bone fragments all over the ground. They were able to recognize their own bloodline limits and knew that this was Genji's ability. Continuing to walk towards the second battle site, looking at the bone bullets scattered everywhere and the 3 piles of ashes left on the ground, the two could not distinguish anything this time. After all, they had not awakened their bloodline limits and did not understand the ashbone technique, which could be said to be the ultimate move among the abilities of the corpse bone vein. Why are there 3 piles of ashes? It turns out that when Cg left, he separated a part of Otsutsuki's share and fabricated the illusion that he also died because of the ashbone technique, hoping to deceive Kagaya Musashi, who also has the corpse bone vein, so that he would stop tracking him down. On the other side, Kingxi, who had already gone far away, was slowly feeling the changes in himself. As a boss-like existence, Otsutsuki's first kill was also a huge success. Genji has already returned to the Pure Land, so all the gold coins that exploded belong to Kyoji. Life is like this, every road is filled with flowers and thorns. After the thorns, flowers should follow. For Kingxi, it is really a happy ending after suffering. Otsutsuki's death caused the wedge seal that Otsutsuki had just carved on Seiji's body to disappear, but the information of the thought and dissolved Otsutsuki Otsutsuki still remained on Seiji's body, and most of it had been thawed, except that Ashiki's consciousness, powerful chakra, and power were gone. The wedge that lost Ashiki's control was the perfect nourishment for Cg. And most of the information that Ashiki thought included all kinds of secret knowledge of the ninja world over the past 1,000 years and all of Ashiki's memories after he came to the planet where the ninja world was located. These memories and knowledge were the best gifts for Cg, who lived in a remote corner. For Cg, a descendant of Otsutsuki Hamura, the awakening and evolution direction of his bloodline is Otsutsuki Kagaya, and Seiji's bloodline has already begun to return to its ancestral roots and possesses some of the characteristics of the Otsutsuki. Therefore, the simple and ownerless wedge is a perfect tonic for Cg. Everything about Ashiki is being slowly swallowed and digested by Cg and integrated into his bloodline. Kingxi walked aimlessly. He had never been far from the village where he was exiled, and the farthest place he had been was the lake near the village. After integrating Ashiki's memories, Cg discovered to his annoyance that Jijin, or rather Ashiki, had never been to the border of the water country in thousands of years. As a result, an embarrassing thing happened. Kingxi got lost. Helpless, Ching Si could only identify one direction and keep moving forward. On the way, he killed several wild animals that wanted to eat him. One of them was a giant bear that Ching Si took with him as food. Because he left in such a hurry, Kingji did not take the storage scroll left by Genji. Therefore, Kingji could only pull out his spine to turn it into a long bone whip and drag the giant bear forward. Shocked. The dignified bloodline limit, the bone vein, was actually used to carry food. The wedge devoured by the blood is constantly and imperceptibly improving everything about Kingxi. According to the current progress, Kingxi can feel that it will take about 5 years for him to completely digest the gift left by Ashiki. Soon, 3 days passed and Kingxi's body recovered. As his injuries recovered, Kingxi's body sent out hunger signals. During the recovery period, the body was sensible and consciously postponed the time for replenishing energy. Now that the body is normal, the evolution of the blood requires a lot of energy, and the signals sent by the body constantly urge Kingxi to eat. After finding a cave, Kingxi cleaned up and built a simple stove with branches. He dragged the giant bear over, pulled out a bone blade from its body, completely dismembered the remaining parts of the giant bear, and placed them on the rack above the stove. He activated his chakra, and a ball of flame appeared in his palm. After lighting the stove, he began to cook the bear meat. After the Otsutsuki bloodline awakens, it naturally possesses the 7 attributes of wind, thunder, water, fire, earth, yin, and yang. Although Kingji has never learned fire escape, he has the talent and can still control the chakra and transform it into flames. P.S. Nagato's 7 attributes were the result of the subtle influence of Uchiha Madara transplanting the Rinnegan when he was a child. Kingxi had a full meal quickly, and most of the remaining bear meat went into his stomach, turning into food for him to improve his strength. One can only say, what a good bear. In the cave, Kingxi sat cross-legged on the ground, and the chakra in his body continued to flow along the route he was already familiar with. During the flow of chakra, Kingxi also continued to compress his chakra according to the method he got from Ashiki's memory, making the quality of chakra even better. Chapter 11. Please explain it again. Kakashi's chakra is not very high. The official book gives that Kakashi's chakra is 6. As an elite jonin, his chakra is just at the passing line of ordinary jonin. So I set that in the 60th year of Konoha, Kakashi's chakra after deducting the consumption of Sharingan was the standard 1 card. Even if he didn't have Sharingan, his chakra was at the level of an ordinary jonin, and he was the kind of ninja who was very short of blue. Of course, he had more chakra in the later period, but that was purely because Kishimoto's drawing was bad. I won't take the blame for this. After an unknown amount of time, Kingxi woke up from his trance. The amount of chakra in his body had increased again, and the quality of the chakra had also reached a higher level. If quantified, the units of measurement for chakra are cards and columns. A column is also called a chakra, and 1 column equals 1000 cards. When they first appeared in the original story, Hitaki Kakashi, who needed to constantly allocate chakra to supply the Sharingan, was a standard 1 card, and Senju Hashirama, the god of the first generation of Naruto, was a standard 1 pillar. 1235200.310.10.3. The amount of chakra is not absolutely equal to strength or ninja level, but in most cases in the ninja world, the amount of chakra and the strength level of the ninja are linked. At present, the amount of Kingxi's chakra is roughly at the level of 2.1 cards, and the quality of Kingxi's chakra is much higher than that of ordinary ninjas. In other words, the same ninjutsu, when used by Kingsley, will be more powerful. It's time to sort it out. Director Ching breathed a sigh of relief and began to review the memories that had been integrated into his own. The information left by Jijin and his Hiki over thousands of years is extremely huge, and it took a full 5 days to browse through it. In his memory, CG saw his Hiki and Kagaya descending into the ninja world. I saw 2 people planting the sacred tree. I saw the sacred tree grow, bloom, and bear fruit. We saw Kagaya, who was unwilling to be sacrificed, and she stood up to launch a sneak attack on his Hiki. I saw Kagaya eat the fruit of the sacred tree and evolve further. Saw the birth of Otsutsuki Hago Romo and Otsutsuki Hamura. I saw the 2 of them resisting their mother Kagaya. I saw the 2 sides fighting in the ninja world. I saw Kagaya being tragically sealed by her parents. Saw the birth of the moon. I saw Kagaya's consciousness escape before she was sealed. Saw Otsutsuki Hagoromo's departure. Saw the birth and spread of the ninja sect. Saw the fight between Indra and Asura. I saw the 9-tailed beasts created by Otsutsuki Hagoromo's yin-yang released to split Kagaya's 10 tails. Saw the birth of the Senju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki clans. I saw the descendants of Hamura returning to the ninja world from the moon. Saw the birth of the Hyuga and Kagaya families. I have seen how large and small families in the ninja world have been born and disappeared over the past 1,000 years, and how they have been fighting and forming alliances with each other for a long time. We saw various bloodline limits appear and various ninjutsu were constantly created. I saw the constant reincarnation of Indra and Ashura Chakra, and their fateful confrontations. Saw the appearance of Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara. I saw the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan shaking hands and making peace. I saw the establishment of Konoha, Sand Village, Kumigakure, Iwagakure, and Kirigakure. Saw the battle at the Valley of the End. We saw how Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, who were descendants of the Otsutsuki clan but were still considered mortals, unleashed super shadow level combat power. Saw the first 5 conference being held. We also saw the outbreak of the first 5 village fight that swept across the entire ninja world. The final memory remains of his Hiki being forced to reincarnate and then being killed by his father Genji because of his arrogance, and they both died together with each other, filled with endless regret and unwillingness. These secret events, most of which have been buried in the long river of history, fascinated Kingsley. At the same time, combined with the various video clips he had seen in his previous life, although Kingsley was not familiar with the plot of Naruto, he knew almost all the secrets of the entire ninja world, which made him breathe a sigh of relief and alleviated some of the pressure of facing an uncertain future. Moreover, in his Hiki's memory, Kingsley had a clearer understanding of his own race than in his previous life. The double horns on his forehead are not only a symbol of the Otsutsuki clan, but also a symbol of his identity as the orthodox main line of the Otsutsuki clan. The Otsutsuki clan, who are able to cross the starry sky and survive in outer space, possess unique talents and powers. The horns are the external manifestation of the Otsutsuki bloodline. Among them, people of the main lineage have 2 horns on their heads, and people of the branch lineage have 1 horn on their heads. Kagaya, Momoshiki, Ura's Hiki in the memories of the previous life, and Shive in the legend are all people of the main lineage, while Kin's Hiki and his Hiki belong to the branch line. There is no absolute subordinate relationship between the main vein and the branch veins. In the end, it all depends on strength. However, generally speaking, the talents and strength of the people in the main vein are significantly stronger than those in the branch veins. The only exception is Otsutsuki's Hiki. His eyes are not white eyes like most other Otsutsuki. Instead, his right eye mutated from a white eye to a golden black eye in the shape of a cross with black lines. Not only that, thanks to the mutated black eyes that produce the eye jutsu named Biguna, which can shrink himself and anything he sees except living things, and the eye jutsu Deikokyuden, which can keep the shrunken objects or people in an extra-dimensional space where time has stopped and can be taken out freely at any time, his Hiki's combat ability is among the best in the Otsutsuki clan. Therefore, in the 2-person team that went out to plant the sacred tree, Kagaya and his Hiki's group did not have the so-called relationship of guardian and protected. The status between his Hiki who came from the branch line and Kagaya who came from the main line were almost equal. Being equal in status means that strength will be the final word, and the weak will be sacrificed to the 10 tails so that the sacred tree can bear fruit. At that time, it was obvious that his Hiki's overall strength was stronger than Kagaya, so it was no wonder that Kagaya would launch a sneak attack. For a long time, the Otsutsuki clan had never experienced internal strife, so his Hiki had no defense against Kagaya at all. Kagaya's behavior undoubtedly meant betrayal to the Otsutsuki clan, which was why Kagaya was very afraid of other Otsutsuki and planted the sacred tree for the second time and frantically created white zetsu in preparation for war. After completely digesting the memories, Kingxi gradually became clear about his future path, which was to continuously improve his own bloodline and eventually evolve into a complete Otsutsuki. With the information left by Ishiki, Kingxi clearly knew that Ishiki also secretly hid a small 10 tails in his space. This 10 tails, which has not yet been owned by anyone, is currently in a dormant state, waiting for the right person to receive it. As the standard of the Otsutsuki, the 10 tails can accelerate the growth of the Otsutsuki extremely quickly. This alone is worth Seiji's careful planning. Although this 10 tails is not perfect and requires the sacrifice of the Otsutsuki bloodline, the ninja world has a tailed beast split from another large 10 tails that can be used as a substitute. The information left by Ishiki shows that the planet where the ninja realm is located is also extremely special in the long career of the Otsutsuki in planting sacred trees. Ordinary planets seem to have a hard time supporting a sacred tree. But in the ninja realm, Ishiki Otsutsuki and Kagaya Otsutsuki, who first arrived in this world 1,000 years ago, discovered that the energy here is extremely abundant and can complete at least 2 or 3 plantings. In addition, after Kagaya was sealed, Otsutsuki Hago Romo established the ninja clan and spread chakra. After thousands of years of development, chakra has long replaced the natural energy that is difficult to practice and has become the mainstream force in the ninja world. That kind of vibrant and flourishing environment allows the Otsutsuki to completely avoid the hassles of living on other planets. The ninja world is completely capable of sustainable development without causing devastating damage, becoming a perfect nursery for the circular production of chakra fruits. Chapter 12. On the other hand, Sujito and Nobaya, who failed in their mission, could only return to the Kagaya clan's territory after recovering from their injuries. In the courtyard of the clan leader's residence, a middle-aged man with a face similar to Genji stood tall and straight under a tree with his hands behind his back. He had an expressionless face and a majestic presence without even being angry. He was none other than Kagaya Musashi, the current clan leader of the Kagaya clan. "Chief, the mission has failed." The two men came close to Musashi and half knelt on one knee. "Tell me about it," Musashi said calmly, without the rage the two had expected. But the more this happened, the more uneasy they were. As loyal lackeys of Kagaya Musashi, they knew Musashi very well. He was patient, ruthless, ambitious, and power-hungry. He could ignore his relatives for the sake of power. He was able to go from being an ordinary member of the clan without any background to exchanging interests with the elders of each clan, and finally counterattack to become a clan leader. The characteristics of a tyrant were fully reflected in him. Some unexpected situations occurred, Sujito explained. A man who looked like a monk went towards Kagaya Genji's house with a clear goal. The subsequent battles also showed that his target was indeed Kagaya Genji. It was very likely that he was his former enemy who came to seek revenge. Sujito's statement successfully led Musashi astray, and he was getting further and further away from the truth. Nobaya continued to add, describing Jijin's appearance and clothing in detail to Musashi, wondering if the head of his family could recognize Jijin. "Go on." Musashi didn't comment, but he was wondering about Jijin's origins. Although his two subordinates had not awakened their bloodline, the Jonin of the Kagaya clan had always been synonymous with strength in the ninja world. Someone who could defeat the two of them together shouldn't be unknown. "We didn't know at first that this man was here for revenge. Since we didn't know his identity and he looked like he had bad intentions, we had no choice but to take action. But we didn't expect that the two of us would be defeated in an instant and had no power to resist. The enemy is suspected to be proficient in space-time ninjutsu." Nobaya's shallow knowledge could not recognize the essence of Jigenjutsu, so he could only make guesses. Upon hearing this, Musashi, who thought that the two had been defeated after a hard fight and still managed to escape with their lives, couldn't help but shrink his pupils. "He defeated the two of them in an instant, and he is not much different from me who already has the strength of a cage. My younger brother actually has such a terrifying enemy." Musashi sighed in his heart. According to the description of the two, Jijin's strength is already qualified to threaten Musashi. "The two of us were defeated by this man, but he seemed very arrogant and did not bother to kill us. When we woke up, the battle was over. We went to see the battlefield, and Kagaya Genji should have used the dance of the early warbler." The two described in detail to Musashi the traces of the battlefield they saw. Finally, after hearing that there were still 3 piles of ashes remaining on the battlefield, Kagaya Musashi couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth, but this scene was not seen by Sujito and Nobaya. It seems that my brother has fought for his life. The effect of the ash bone technique is indeed terrifying. This thought flashed through Musashi's mind. I don't know if my nephew also awakened the corpse bone vein and used the ash bone technique, or if Genji lost control and accidentally hurt him. Well, it doesn't matter. The result is that they all died together. Musashi, who had never let go of his hostility and vigilance towards Kagaya and Genji's family, was finally relieved at this time. Okay, go down. I won't punish you this time. Please keep the details of the mission confidential. Now that the threat was gone, Musashi felt relieved and waved his hand to give the order. The actions that Kyoji took before leaving, with the help of Sujito and Nobaya, finally succeeded in deceiving Kagaya Musashi. As for the secret technique of the corpse vein, Kagaya Musashi, who has served as the clan leader for many years, can be said to be well aware of it. Even if he used the burning blood technique, Genji could only briefly burst out with power close to that of a cage. And he never thought that Genji, with his crippled body, could protect CG while dying together with an enemy who was suspected to be of cage-level strength. You know, there is a huge gap in strength between cage-level and elite Jonin. Without thinking about these anymore, Kagaya Musashi turned to thinking about how to improve his position. For him, as the current patriarch of the Kagaya clan, which is the top fighting force in the Hidden Mist village, he is also a cage-level strongman and a high-ranking member of the Hidden Mist village. In addition, although the Kagaya clan and the village are not in harmony and live alone outside the village, they are one of the 3 bloodline clans that established the Hidden Mist village. The position of Mizukage does not seem that far away from him. The Hojoki clan had a 2nd generation, the Yuki clan had a 3rd generation, so why couldn't the Kagaya clan have a 4th generation? Kingxi woke up from his meditation, adjusted his posture, and seemed very satisfied with the message left by his Heike. With a Jonin level chakra capacity, the soon-to-be 9-year-old CG can be said to have fully acquired the combat power of a Jonin level after gaining combat experience with Jijin and Otsutsuki as Heike. The only regret is that Kingxi did not open his own eyes at this time. After all, to the orthodox Otsutsuki clan, Kyoji can only be considered wild. Based on the information left by his Heike, he can only guess that his Otsutsuki bloodline may not be strong enough or is not of a certain level yet. But Kingxi could clearly feel that something was brewing in his eyes. And he could also vaguely feel the Mahakala space left by his Heike, but he could not establish a connection with it. Perhaps as he continues to integrate the gift of the Ishikuni into himself, he will be able to awaken his own Byakugan or other eyes. After calming down and recovering to his best, Kingxi once again set out on a journey to find a town. The current CG is familiar with most of the secrets of the ninja world, knows all the history of the past 1,000 years, and sees through the essence of the ninja world. He can be called a man who knows everything. Coupled with his scattered understanding of Naruto in his previous life, he is already qualified to be the chess player of the entire ninja world. In the evening of the next day, Kingxi finally arrived at a town of relatively good size. This is a medium-sized town located in the southern part of the water country, and the village where the exile is located is in a remote place further south. Kyoji knew that his double horns were quite unique in the ninja world, so he used a transformation technique to change his appearance, hiding the horns on his forehead and the red dot between his eyebrows that symbolized the Kagaya clan. Walking slowly into the town, although Kingxi did not deliberately exude any aura, his stern face, although handsome, still revealed a sense of keeping away from strangers. Kingxi, who came to the outside world for the first time, was still a little curious about it. Although he had seen more prosperous cities and capitals of various countries in his Heike's memory, this was his first personal experience after all. Most of the memory scenes were actually seen by his Heike controlling Jijin, which means that many memories belong to Jijin. But his Heike was resurrected through Jijin's body, and it can be said that he swallowed up everything of Jijin. In order to simplify the subsequent text, Jijin and his Heike will no longer be explained separately, and they will be collectively referred to as his Heike in the following text. Walking in the town, Kingxi slowly felt the breath of life that he had never felt before in this life. Influenced by Otsutsuki's Heike, he already had a superior and deified character, but that quality is now slowly fading away. The memories of Seiji's past and present lives are constantly blending with the memories of Otsutsuki's Heike, and he gradually returns to a normal human posture. Perhaps in the future, when Seiji's bloodline evolves into a complete Otsutsuki, he can be called a god. But at least now, he is not a god, but just a human named Seiji, Otsutsuki Seiji. Chapter 13. After taking in the atmosphere of fireworks, Kingxi began to search according to the memories in his mind. As a medium-sized town in the land of water, although it is remote, it should also have underground gold exchange offices throughout the ninja world. From Miss Heiki's memory, it was learned that the original gold exchange was jointly initiated by all the nobles in the ninja world, and its purpose was simply to control the economy of the ninja world and issue a unified currency. However, after years of fighting and the birth of the ninja profession, the gold exchange houses gradually evolved into underground gold exchange houses. In name, they were still jointly controlled by the daimyo of various countries and received protection from various countries. But in fact, in the process of evolution, the underground gold exchange houses in various regions have become independent. Even the coins of the original unified style of the ninja world, although the style has not changed, the patterns on them have become the patterns of their respective countries. The underground money exchange houses now retain the tradition of issuing the unified currency of the ninja world in various regions, but their other functions have long since changed beyond recognition. The main business of the underground money exchange houses is trading, specializing in assassination bounties, and they also have strong intelligence gathering capabilities. It can be said that as long as there is enough money, anyone can be rewarded and any intelligence can be obtained. Any intelligence is available. Does it sound familiar? That's right, the person responsible for providing intelligence in the underground gold exchange offices throughout the ninja world is none other than Otsutsuki Heiki, who is hiding behind the scenes. Yoshiki, who had survived for 1,000 years, sneaked in when the underground gold exchange just appeared by knowing all kinds of secret information. Over a long period of time, by continuously providing intelligence that was never wrong or missed and no one else knew, Yoshiki gradually rose to the position of intelligence chief. At the end of a street in the north of the town, Kingxi finally arrived at his destination. This was a loft that few people visited. He found the toilet and got a rough idea of the location of the secret door. I don't know who came up with the idea, but a gold exchange office is actually located in the toilet. With a slight look of disgust, Kingxi twitched his nose a few times, enduring the unpleasant smell, and walked in. Please come this way. A man with a ferocious face came over. He was the waiter on duty at the underground gold exchange here. Do you want to buy information or post a reward? Asked the waiter. Kingxi did not answer, but silently took out a token and handed it to the waiter in front of him. This token was made by Kingxi on the way here based on his Heiki's memory, using the unique method of yin-yang escape of the Otsutsuki. No one in the current ninja world should be able to imitate it. His Heiki Otsutsuki has never revealed his true face in the gold exchange. He has always been hidden behind the scenes and controlled remotely. The only thing that can prove his identity is this unique token. Sir, how can I help you? The waiter knelt down on one knee immediately after verification. Give me a copy of the latest detailed map of the land of water, and give me 100 million taels in cash. Ching Si was very satisfied with this and ordered lightly. Please wait a moment, sir. I'll prepare it right away. The waiter responded and turned to leave to get what Kingxi needed. After a while, the waiter returned with a map and a suitcase. He handed the things to Ching Si respectfully and then asked. Is there anything else your excellency needs? By the way, do you have a storage scroll? Give me one. Ching Si opened the map casually to check, and suddenly thought of something. Having experienced the convenience of the storage scroll, Kingxi is still extremely eager for it. Sir, I happen to have one on me, so I'll give it to you. The waiter quickly took out the storage scroll he carried with him and handed it to Kingxi. Not bad. Ching Si said with satisfaction, imitating the method in his mind, pointing a finger at the waiter's forehead, and a message was passed on. Then he put the map and suitcase in his hand into the scroll, turned around and walked out. The waiter was overjoyed when he heard a passage about the training method of water style, water dragon bullet technique, which only had 10 seals appear in his consciousness. Water dragon bullet technique is a common B-level water-based ninjutsu. Under normal circumstances, it requires 44 seals. However, after awakening the memories of his past life and inheriting one type of memory, Kingxi has 3 different simplified ways of performing it in his mind: 3 seals, 5 seals, and 10 seals. Thank you for the reward, sir. I bid you farewell. After coming out of the gold exchange, Kingxi went straight to a barbecue restaurant he had just passed by. Master Ninja, what would you like to eat? The shop owner came over to greet him personally. Give me 10 servings of all the barbecue first. Ching Si, who had been eating wild vegetables since childhood in this life, had experienced the feeling of enjoying delicious food in his memory and was very much looking forward to this so-called barbecue. The delicate knife skills cut the meat into thin slices. The sizzling sound and aroma of the roasted meat are intoxicating, as if whispering the temptation of satisfaction in your ears. The color of the meat changes from light to dark, from pink to brown, like a work of art, showing the attractive charm of roasted meat. The roasted meat is crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, exuding an intoxicating aroma. Paired with fresh vegetables and seasonings, Kingsi can't help but linger on the taste. This is dozens of times better than the crude things I make in the wild. Kingsi, who was tasting barbecue for the first time, couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. After devouring the food, Kingsi was very satisfied. After paying, he left the barbecue restaurant and prepared to find a tailor to order a few sets of clothes. After describing several clothing styles that he liked in his mind to the other party, Kingsi paid the deposit and left. Arriving at the only inn in the town, CG ordered the most luxurious room. As the heir of a legacy, he had no intention of saving money. With the entire intelligence agency of the gold exchange in his hands, CG could be said to be one of the richest people in the ninja world besides the daimyo of various countries. He just wanted to enjoy himself. Soaking comfortably in the hot spring, Kingsi slowly circulated the chakra in his body and began to practice. 10 days passed quickly, and it was time to pick up the clothes. After Kingsi had breakfast, he came to the tailor shop. The old tailor who had been waiting for a long time handed him several clothes that Kingsi had ordered. After Kingsi took them, he couldn't wait to go to the fitting room. He took off the tattered and blood-stained clothes and quickly put on new clothes. Both the Otsutsuki clan and the Kagaya clan prefer white, and of course CG is the same. He changed into a standard off-white ninja bodysuit suitable for combat, a pair of ninja boots, and a pure white divine robe with 6 black megatama embroidered on the chest and back. Looking at Kingsi walking out of the fitting room after changing his clothes, the old tailor's eyes lit up. The young man in white has a delicate face, but also a strange kind of handsomeness. She has a slender figure and noble temperament, like an immortal banished from the mortal world, exuding a hint of otherworldly aura, and her every move reveals elegance and composure. Kingsi was very satisfied with his outfit, which achieved exactly the effect he remembered. With the old tailor's respectful farewell, Kingsi returned to the hotel. Chapter 14. At the end of Kirigakure 27, after completing all the tasks he needed to do in the town, CG prepared to leave. After putting all the necessary items that he had purchased in the town into storage scrolls, Kingsi embarked on a journey to the hidden mist village. In the Frost Kingdom, in the mountain cemetery, deep underground, there was a huge cave where an old man was sitting. His hair was standing up like a hedgehog. His originally flowing long hair had become dry and pale. His wrinkled face, bloodless cheeks, and cloudy eyes all indicated that the old man's life was about to come to an end. The old man was none other than Uchiha Madara, the Shura of the ninja world back then. In the Battle of the Valley of the End, Uchiha Madara was defeated by Senju Hashirama, but he had calculated Senju Tobirama's deep malice towards the Uchiha clan. As a scientific research expert, Tobirama would not destroy the body of the strongest Uchiha in order to study the secrets of the Uchiha clan. So before the war, he set the Uchiha's life-threatening forbidden technique Izanagi in his right eye through transcription seal. After the war, as expected, Tobirama secretly hid Uchiha Madara's body in the back mountain of Konoha, trying to study the secrets of the Sharingan. In the end, at the cost of the eternal Mangeki in his right eye losing its light, Madara rewrote reality and was resurrected. He disguised his shadow clone as a corpse and left Konoha quietly. After his resurrection, Uchiha Madara began to strive to realize his ideals. In the previous battle with Hashirama Senju, Madara bit off a piece of flesh from Hashirama. After resurrection, he spat out the flesh and transplanted it to the wound, thus successfully obtaining Hashirama's cells. As the degree of cell fusion gradually deepened, the face of Hashirama Senju appeared on Madara's left chest. Uchiha Madara, who did not compete with Uzumaki Mito, was together with his good friend Hashirama Senju forever in another way. Two mutually repelling forces, when combined into one, give rise to the myriad things in the universe. When Hashirama Senju's would release power and Uchiha Madara's eternal Mangeki Sharingan power are combined, they can gain the power of the myriad things in the universe. This is Uchiha Madara's understanding of the records on the stone tablet left behind by the so-called Six-Path Sage. However, after transplanting Hashirama's cells, although Madara could feel his strength gradually increasing, and even later mastered the wood release that no other Senju clan member could master, the expected power of the universe never came into being. As time passed, Uchiha Madara, who was over 60 years old, gradually felt that he was no longer able to do what he wanted. The various hidden injuries accumulated from frequent battles in his youth gradually affected his body, and his strength began to decline. In desperation, in the last few years of his life, Madara returned to the base under the mountain cemetery, quietly waiting for the call of the Pure Land. In his mind, Uchiha Madara's eventful life flashed by quickly like a movie, and all the details of his love-hate relationship with Senju Hashirama passed by one scene after another. Madara, who was 71 years old, knew that his time had come. At this moment, the cells of Hashirama implanted in Madara's body finally merged with his own cells at the genetic level. Thousands of years later, the chakras of Indra and Ashura were perfectly intertwined, leading to a strand of chakra with the characteristics of the 6 paths. As soon as this chakra appeared, the total amount increased rapidly, and at the same time, it circulated rapidly in Madara's body involuntarily, and finally rushed to the meridians at his eyes. Madara opened his eyes wide, his right eye was grey, but the Sharingan in his left eye appeared automatically, and 3 black Megatama began to spin rapidly, then connected together and automatically turned into the eternal Mangeki Sharingan. The Sharingan spun faster and faster, the red gradually faded, a hint of purple emerged, and then quickly expanded, ripples appeared on the eyeball, and Madara's Samsara eye appeared. Ha 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 ha. The old but hearty laughter echoed throughout the cave. Uchiha Madara, who was nearing the end of his life, finally opened his Rinnegan in the last moments of his life. Summoning technique. Madara put his hands together as if instinctively, then slapped his right hand hard towards the opposite side, and a huge amount of chakra burst out. Bang! Huge white smoke filled the entire cave. After the smoke dissipated, a huge humanoid monster with 9 eyes and the color and body of a dead tree appeared behind Madara, with 10 column-like protrusions behind it. Outer Path Golem. The name of the monster behind him naturally emerged in Madara's mind. Roar! The golem that had just escaped from the seal on the moon roared, as if venting its dissatisfaction with being sealed, or perhaps venting its anger at being forcibly divided and losing the power of the 9-tailed beasts. Madara made the way seal with both hands and began to control the golem. Under his control, the golem gradually stopped moving, stretched out a few things that were probably tubes, and inserted them into Madara's back. Madara, who received the life force from the golem, survived, while Black Zetsu, who had been lurking nearby for many years and was already in despair, stared at Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan with surprise. Mom, I finally see hope, the Rinnegan finally appears. Black Zetsu, who had been working hard for this for 1,000 years, was extremely excited and began to secretly plan the follow-up actions. Madara, who awakened the Rinnegan, also rekindled hope. The resurrection technique contained in the Rinnegan, called Gaido Samsara no Jutsu, gave him the confidence to continue implementing what he believed in as a peace plan. At the same time that Uchiha Madara awakened the Rinnegan, over in the land of water, Seiji, who had just embarked on his journey, looked towards the northwest in confusion. A familiar smell. Kingxi murmured. After thinking about it carefully, Kingxi showed a look of sudden realization. This aura seems to be the Rinnegan, a bit like that of Otsutsuki Hago Romo. Is Heike, who had watched up close the 2 battles in which the Otsutsuki brothers sealed Kaguya and Indra fought against Ashura, was no stranger to the aura of Otsutsuki Hago Romo and his 2 sons. It seems that it was done by that black guy named Black Zetsu, so the one who awakened the Rinnegan should be Uchiha Madara. Kingxi instantly thought of the consciousness body that Kaguya differentiated before being completely sealed in the memory scene, and also thought of the scene in his previous life where Black Zetsu and Uchiha Madara were opening their hearts to each other. It's getting more and more interesting, the windmill of the ninja world has started to turn. Kingxi smiled, then suppressed his thoughts, ignored it, and continued to move towards the direction of the hidden mist village. After all, his top priority now is to digest Heike's gift and accelerate his own growth. 3 months later, in the spring of the 28th year of Kirigakure, Kiyoshi, who had been traveling all the way, arrived at Kirigakure village. The 9-year-old Kingxi is now 150 centimeters tall. After several months of rest and recuperation, his body has received sufficient nutrition and he is no longer as thin as before. Taking out the identity certificate that he had asked Kankinso's men to issue him when he passed through the capital of the Land of Water, Kingxi walked confidently towards the gate of the Hidden Mist Village. Chapter 15. After showing his ID from the daimyo prefecture at the door, King Si was immediately allowed by the respectful guard to enter the Hidden Mist Village. "Father, I have arrived at the Hidden Mist Village," Kiyoshi whispered to himself, his tone full of sighs and longing for his father Genji. For Kiyoshi, he lived in a peaceful era in his previous life, and in this life he has lived outside the village since he was a child, so he has no feelings for the current Kiyoshi of the Hidden Mist Village. The reason he came to the Hidden Mist Village this time was, firstly, to see the place where his father grew up and to inherit his father's will and unfinished dreams, and secondly, as one of the 5 major ninja villages, the Hidden Mist Village could greatly help Seiji's growth and development, and he also wanted to use the power of the Hidden Mist Village to plan the resurrection of his parents. Although his Heike Otsutsuki does not have the Samsara Eye, and does not know that the Samsara Eye has the ability to reverse life and death, Kiyoshi, who had seen some clips of Uchiha Madara's resurrection and Nagato's use of the Samsara Jutsu in his previous life, although Kiyoshi did not know the specific information, he still knew clearly that there were means in the ninja world to revive the dead, although the process would be difficult. But Genji is different. The Hidden Mist Village was built by Genji and his people themselves. Genji has deep feelings for the village. Even at that time, he was the captain of the guard of the 2nd Mizukage, Hojiki Gengetsu, and was trained by the 2nd Mizukage as a reserve cage. Looking around, Kiyoshi, who came to the ninja village for the first time, felt the difference between this ninja village, which he had only heard from his father Genji, and an ordinary town. More than 10 years had passed since the first 5 villages fight, and Kirigakure had long since gotten rid of its depression. As an island country adjacent to the ocean, the land of water has a unique locational advantage. The ocean's products are far richer than those on the mainland. Thanks to this, both the land of water and the Kirigakure are currently in a relatively prosperous stage. After finding a hotel to stay in, King Si began to plan his subsequent actions. He definitely cannot go back to the Kagaya clan, and even within the Kagaya clan, he is already considered a dead man. Although the Kagaya clan has almost fallen out with the Hidden Mist Village and the 3rd Mizukage because of Kagaya Musashi's ambition, and the entire clan has completely moved out of the Hidden Mist Village, and the Kagaya clan now rarely takes on any tasks for the village except for war, but Kiyoshi still has to prevent himself from being seen by Kagaya Musashi's subordinates who are familiar with his appearance. Although there are many ninjas with strange looks in the Water Kingdom, he is the only one with double horns on his forehead, and this feature is too easy to recognize. Therefore, even when Seiji entered the Hidden Mist Village where there were no Kagaya people, he maintained the transformation technique. Although the horns on his forehead and the red dot between his eyebrows disappeared, his basic appearance did not change. After all, the only thing he was known for was his unique pair of horns. In fact, joining the Assassination Tactical Special Forces directly under the Mizukage, namely the Anbu, is the best choice for Kiyoshi. First, he wears a mask most of the time to cover his face, so he doesn't need to maintain the transformation technique all the time. Second, according to his father Genji, almost all the high-ranking members of Kirigakure have served in the Anbu. But unfortunately, Kingji is not even an officially registered ninja of the Hidden Mist Village. He does not have a ninja number or a ninja forehead protector, let alone joining the Anbu. It has been almost 5 days since he arrived in the Hidden Mist Village, and King Si is still worried about how to join the Hidden Mist Village. During the reign of the 3rd Mizukage Bing, Kirigakure gradually began to implement an elite soldier policy called Blood Mist, requiring students graduating from the ninja school to kill each other in groups of 2 until only one was left, with the aim of giving birth to the best and most ruthless ninjas. It was just an experiment at first, but with the continuous growth and good performance of the first batch of Blood Mist ninjas, this bloody policy can now be said to be carried out openly in Kirigakure. Therefore, under the premise of having a relatively stable source of elite ninjas, if Kiyoshi did not reveal his identity, it would be almost impossible for him to join the Hidden Mist Village as a wandering ninja. In the past 5 days, King Si has hardly left the hotel. Distressed, King Si decided to change his mood and go for a walk in the village to get some fresh air. Coming to the street, King Si walked aimlessly when suddenly there was a commotion in front of him. Master Yuanchi! Lord Elder! As greetings were heard, the villagers consciously made way and respectfully saluted the approaching old man. An old man with an old face but very kind appearance came slowly accompanied by 2 guards. The old man held a snake-shaped wooden staff and wore a huge brown robe. He also responded to the villagers' greetings one by one. This person is none other than the elder master who holds a very high reputation in the Hidden Mist Village. Ching Si, who did not know Master Yuan, hurriedly followed the villager's example and saluted the old man. Yuanqi, who is 54 years old this year, is still full of energy. As a follower of the first Mizukage Byakuren and one of the founders of the Hidden Mist Village, Yuanqi has served as an elder when the village was first established. After the death of the first generation and the rise of the second generation, because of his outstanding administrative ability and no desire for power, he was given power equivalent to that of the Mizukage by the second Mizukage, Hojiki Gengetsu. By the time of the third Mizukage, Yuanqi was already a veteran who had served through 3 dynasties, and the only surviving old man from the first generation. The third Mizukage also gave the master a power almost equal to that of the Mizukage, but the master did not agree with the blood mist policy implemented by the third generation. He believed that the cold-blooded and twisted ninjas trained in this way would eventually bring disaster to the Hidden Mist village. However, due to the support of most of the Hidden Mist senior officials, the master could only gradually retire, leaving only the power over civil affairs in his hands, and no longer interfering in the military and political affairs of the village. Coming close to Kingxi and looking at Kingxi who was bowing to him, a gleam of light flashed in Master Yuan's slightly cloudy eyes, and then quickly disappeared. Kingxi, who is already 9 years old, now has facial features that are more like his mother Kagaya Yukiko. However, Yuanqi, who happens to have a good personal relationship with Kagaya's 6 elders and has also met Kagaya Yukiko, couldn't help but have some guesses in his mind when he saw Kingxi's face that was extremely similar to Kagaya Yukiko's. 10 years ago, the master was still at the peak of power in the Hidden Mist village and had a deep control over it. The master was well aware of the causes and consequences of the power struggle within Kagaya. Not to mention that Kagaya Genji was able to join the Shadow Guards because of the master's recommendation, so the master felt sorry for Genji's experience back then and paid more attention to him later. However, because this was just an internal family matter, he could not break the rules to help Genji. That's why Master Yuan recognized Ching Si at the first sight. Go and ask the young man just now if his name is Kingxi. If so, ask him to come to my house later. Master Yuan turned around and whispered to the guard Bai who was following behind him. Yes. Elder. Bai took the order and left. After the master left, Kingxi continued to walk forward with the crowd on the street. At this time, he sensed an aura of the strength of a special Jonin coming straight towards him without any concealment. After a brief identification, Kingxi recognized that this was the chakra aura of the guard behind the elder who had just passed by, and he slowly stopped. Swish! Bai instantly appeared in front of Kingxi. Because of Master Yuan's just instructions, Bai's attitude was quite respectful. Young man, the elder wants to ask your name. Me? Kingxi asked in confusion. The arrival of Aoi made him subconsciously think that his identity was exposed, but then he thought that an elder so loved by the villagers could not possibly have any connection with the reckless men of the Hyuga clan, and he did not sense any malice from Aoi and the master he had just met. Chapter 16. Kiyoshi, my name is Otsutsuki Kiyoshi. Kiyoshi replied, and the chakra in his body that had just subconsciously begun to accelerate gradually calmed down. Although he was born into the Kagaya clan, Kingxi had never come into contact with other Kagaya members except his parents since he was a child. In addition, his family had been exiled and was not recognized by the Kagaya clan. Therefore, Kingxi had no sense of belonging to the Kagaya clan at all. On the contrary, because he was not recognized by the Kagaya clan, he never thought about inheriting the Kagaya surname. Seiji has the blood of the Otsutsuki flowing in his body, plus the gift from Otsutsuki is Heiki, and Seiji's ultimate goal is to become a complete Otsutsuki, so Seiji is more willing to inherit the surnames of his ancestor Otsutsuki Hamura and the source of his bloodline, Otsutsuki Kagaya. That's right, it seems that the elder should know you. Come with me, the elder wants to see you. After Bai confirmed that Kingxi was indeed the person Yuanqi wanted to see, he made an invitation. He followed Bai to Yuanqi's home with some doubts, constantly guessing Yuanqi's purpose in his heart. In fact, Yuanqi's purpose was only to take care of an old friend with whom he had a good relationship, and to examine Kingxi's potential and current strength. If he had good talent, he could add another fighting force to the village. However, Genji had only told Seiji about some of his own experiences before, and his introduction to the Hidden Mist village was rather brief. Moreover, Seiji had almost no knowledge of the Hidden Mist village in his previous life. The only 2 impressions he had were that a green Konoha destroyed the Hidden Mist village's signature force, the 7 ninja swordsmen, and the 5th Mizukage Mei Terumi, who completely met Seiji's aesthetic taste. At that time, Genji originally planned to wait for Seiji's strength to improve to the point where he could defeat the Jonin, and then take him back to the Hidden Mist village to get rid of the surveillance of the Kagaya clan. Unexpectedly, Ishaiki's sudden arrival broke his plan, and Genji also burned himself in the process of protecting Seiji. Therefore, Kingxi was not clear about the relationship between his family and the elder master. Soon, Kingxi followed Bai to Yuanxi's house and saw Yuanxi lying peacefully on a chair in the courtyard. "Elder, what do you want to talk to me about? I don't think we know each other," Qing Si said. At this time, Qing Si did not know the name and identity of the master, but he still maintained due respect for this old man who was highly supported by the villagers. "Child, come here, closer." Master Yuan sighed and sat up. "Didn't Genji tell you all this? Is he okay now?" The 50-year-old master basically watched Genji grow up, and his memory of Genji still stayed in his 20s, so it was normal for him to call him a little guy. Moreover, the southern border of the Land of Water had long been beyond the influence of Kirigakure, and in recent years, Master gradually ignored many affairs of Kirigakure, so he didn't know Genji's recent situation. Qing Si was shocked when he heard Master Yuan mention his father's name in a nostalgic tone. At the same time, he recalled every little detail of his father's life, his eyes became sore, and his face showed sadness. "Father has returned to the Pure Land," Kingxi said in a low voice. "Really?" Yuanxi's words were filled with disappointment. The next generation that he had high hopes for died young. Yuanxi knew that Genji was injured and thought that Genji died of his injuries, so he did not ask any more questions. "I haven't introduced myself to you yet. I am the master, the elder of the Hidden Mist village. Your father, Kagaya Genji, once served under me, and he was the successor to the title of Kage that I most favored at the time. Your grandfather Kagaya Morito is a good friend of this old man, and your mother Kagaya Yukiko was also raised by me." Master Yuanxi. Kingxi suddenly understood after hearing the introduction of Yuanxi. Kingxi, who had no relatives, could not help but feel a sense of closeness to this old man who was very close to his family. "Don't be so restrained. I have watched your father grow up step by step. It was me who recommended him to join the second generation's Shadow Guard, not to mention your mother and grandfather." Yuanxi explained with a smile. "I am nearly 60 years old, which is considered an old age in the ninja world. I know that you don't have many relatives alive now. I don't have any children, and I have devoted all my life's energy to the village. If you don't mind, you can call me Grandpa." Although Kingxi's talent has not been tested yet, looking at Kingxi's sad face, the childless and nearly year-old Yuanxi still showed his kindness to Kingxi. "Grandpa Yuanxi." Facing the kind and amiable face of Yuanxi, Kingxi, who had no relatives in his previous life and whose relatives in this life had all passed away, did not have the slightest resistance in his heart and called out very naturally. "Good boy. Your name is Kagaya Seiji, right? From now on, you can consider this place as your home. Ganbei, go and prepare a room for little Seiji." Master Yuan said to another guard beside him. "No, Grandmaster Yuanxi, my last name is not Kagaya. There is no such person as Kingxi in the Kagaya clan now. Even my father and mother are not recognized by the clan." Kingxi said calmly, but his words were full of hatred. "My name is Otsutsuki Seiji." After calming down, Seiji continued. "Otsutsuki." The master was a little confused. He didn't know this surname and had never heard of it in the ninja world. He just thought that this was the surname that Seiji gave himself because he didn't want to return to the Hyuga clan. Kingji did not explain. The truth about the Otsutsuki clan was too terrifying for the current ninja world, so it would be better not to reveal it before he grew up. "All right." The master nodded after completing the task in his mind, which was considered as approval. "Then from now on, Kingxi will live in the Hidden Mist village under the name of Otsutsuki. Ganbei, take Xiao Kingxi to his room to rest. It's getting late, let's talk about other things tomorrow." Master Yuan ordered Ganbei, who had just returned. "Oh, by the way, cancel your transformation technique. You can rest assured with me." After confirming Qingxi's identity, Master Yuan saw that he did not have the iconic double horns on his forehead, and knew that he had used the transformation technique. "Master Kingxi, please come this way." Chuan Bingui took Kingxi to the room prepared for him. "Then Master Kingxi, I will withdraw first. You can call me anytime if you need anything." Kingxi came into the room, his mood was still a little agitated. He was just out to relax because his plans had not progressed and he was bored. Unexpectedly, there was an elder grandfather who was his father's boss. Kingxi felt that today's experience was a bit magical. But he did not reject the addition of an elder. He was an orphan in his previous life, and lost his mother in childhood and his father in youth in this life. Kingxi was still looking forward to family affection. The next morning, Kingxi got up early and officially started his life in the Hidden Mist village. After having breakfast with Master Yuan brought Ching Si and 2 guards to the backyard. As the elder with the highest status in Kirigakure, Master Yuan's residence was very large, and the backyard was specially built for his guards to practice. Xiao Kingxi, you are 9 years old now, right? I can sense that you have a lot of chakra in your body, but I don't know how strong you are now. Asked the master. I think I can fight a Jonin. Kingxi said modestly. Kingxi was not willing and did not need to hide anything about himself from this grandfather who he had just met for a day but was very kind to him. Hearing Kingxi's answer, Master Yuan was stunned, and then a hint of shock appeared on his old face. A 9-year-old Jonin? If he can barely rival a Jonin, then he is still a Jonin. Master Yuan was secretly surprised by Kingxi's talent. But Master Yuan thought that Kingxi grew up in a remote place and might not have an accurate understanding of the level of Jonin. As an elder, he couldn't express his doubts about Kingxi's ability, so he had to let the guard by behind him test Kingxi's strength. Master Kingxi, I'm sorry. Bai came in front of Kingxi and made a seal of opposition. Chapter 17. Come on, Uncle Bai. The chakra in Kingxi's body began to boil. The battle begins. With Master Yuan's order, the battle suddenly broke out. Kingxi and Bai attached chakra to their legs at the same time and rushed towards each other quickly. Boom! The 2 men put their fists together, causing a gust of air to shoot out in all directions, and the ground sank into a large circular pit. Such a heavy punch! Owie, the opponent, secretly groaned. Although his physical skills were not weak, he was, after all, a ninja who specialized in water jutsu. It was by using his superb water jutsu that he became a special Jonin. The Yuanshi who was watching the fight on the side, although his strength was only that of an elite Jonin, his eyesight was not bad. He could judge the approximate strength of Kingxi's physical skills at a glance. Boom! 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 The 2 of them quickly exchanged several physical moves. Bai suddenly dodged, formed a seal with one hand, and instantly increased the chakra output of her right fist. Water style, Blue Dragon Palm. The dragon-shaped chakra wrapped around Aoi's right hand and hit Kingxi hard. Seal with one hand. Kingxi was shocked. He didn't expect that a special Jonin like Ao could use a skill that only a few people in his memory could do. It turned out that people who could serve as the elders' guards and housekeepers had to have some skills. Faced with Bai's fierce palm, Kingxi had no choice but to dodge to the side. Aoi also took this opportunity to retreat, and quickly jumped to the surface of the artificial lake in the backyard and stood still. As a water ninja, using water ninjutsu in a place with water can both increase power and reduce chakra consumption. After dispersing the chakra covering her right hand, Bai began to quickly form hand seals. Chen Zhou Mao, in less than a second, the 3 hand seals were completed. Water style, Water Wave. The lake water rose rapidly and rushed towards Kingxi. Having lost the initiative, Kingxi had to continue dodging. Then the seals in Bai's hands continued to change, and the chakra fluctuated violently. Zhou Shen Mao Zi Hai Yu Zhou Wu Yu Zi Yin Su Yin Si Zhou Wei Si Hai Wei Zi Ren Shen Yu Zhou Wu Wei Yin Si Zi Shen Mao Hai Chen Wei Zi Zhou Shen Yu Ren Zi Hai Yu. 44 seals were completed by Bai in 10 seconds, and sparks were almost flying from her hands. Water style, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. A huge water dragon rose from the lake and roared towards Kingxi. Kingxi, who inherited 1,000 years of memory, recognized that Aoi was about to use the water dragon bullet technique when he started to form hand seals. The air in the land of water is rich in water vapor. Even if you are not close to the lake, the release of water-style ninjutsu will be enhanced. So after Kingxi dodged the impact of the water flow, he also quickly formed a seal. Kingxi used a simplified version of the water dragon bullet technique with 10 seals obtained from his Heike, so he was the first to complete the release of the technique. A large amount of water flow protruded from Kingxi's mouth, quickly condensing into a ferocious water dragon, flying towards Aoi. Although Kingxi also knew how to release the water dragon bullet with 5 seals or even 3 seals, he couldn't do it at this moment. Seeing Ching Si, who formed the seal later but used the same water dragon bullet technique first, the master's eyes flashed with brilliance. Not knowing that Ching Si was cheating, the master attributed the simplified water dragon bullet seal to his superb talent. The two water dragons collided violently in the air, a large amount of water splashed all around, and the water vapor in the air became thicker and thicker. Using the same technique to neutralize Aoi's attack, Kingxi had no intention of engaging in close combat and continued to make hand seals. Water style, water gravel. A large amount of water bullets condensed in the air and scattered towards Bai like shotguns. Aoi, who was shocked by Kingxi's 10 seal water dragon bullet, hurriedly suppressed her inner turmoil and formed a seal to defend herself. Yin Sizisi Yin, 5 seals were completed quickly. Water escape water formation wall. A vertical wall of water rose from the surface of the lake, protecting Bai firmly behind it. The flying water bombs hit the water wall heavily, causing ripples. Ching Si was not discouraged after failing to achieve his goal and continued to cast seals. Just as Ching Si was about to continue his attack, the Yuanqi who was watching the battle called him to stop. "That's all, little Kingxi. Bai, come over here too." Yuanqi had a general understanding of Kingxi's strength. As a special Jonin, Bai was not enough to measure Kingxi's true strength. He needed to know Kingxi's current accurate strength so as to make a subsequent training plan for Kingxi. The two calmed their chakras and formed seals of reconciliation with each other. "Thank you, Uncle Bai." Kingxi bowed to Bai with a humble look. "Haha. It's really a case of the new replacing the old. Master Kingxi's strength has surpassed mine." Bai smiled bitterly, but still recognized Kingxi's talent and strength. The master on the side made a few gestures to the air, and a burly man wearing a mask with a strange smiley face and dressed in Anbu clothes instantly appeared in front of the master and knelt on one knee. "Master Yuanqi, please give me your orders," the visitor said respectfully. As a master with equal power and high status as the Mizukage in the Hidden Mist village, although he has gradually taken less charge in recent years, he still has a team of elite Anbu loyal to him. "This is the captain of the Anbu who is protecting me, Ling, an elite Jonin whose ultimate strength is close to that of a cage. Little Kingxi, you can do whatever you want without worrying about hurting him. Ling's strength is considered very strong in the entire village." The master introduced to Kingxi. "Master Kingxi, do you need to restore your chakra?" Ling asked. "No, let's get started. I still have a lot of chakra, enough to use." This was just a test of strength, not a life and death battle, so Kingxi felt that there was no need to recover his chakra. It had been a few months since he entered the level of a Jonin, and during this time, Kingxi's chakra had increased again, and the total amount had reached about 2.5 cards. The two stood opposite each other, forming a seal of opposition. The battle begins. The moment he heard the competition start, Kingxi retreated violently to the back, putting a short distance between himself and Ling. Since consolidating his strength as a Jonin, Kingxi has hardly fought with others. At this time, Kingxi is also very curious about his current combat power. Facing a spirit with strength far exceeding his own, Kingxi dare not hold back at all and decides to use all his abilities except the forbidden technique to fight with all his strength. Although Kingxi awakened the Shikotsu I Genkai, which is said to be invincible in close combat, he is facing a real Anbu elite, and the master has just said that Ling's strength is close to the level of cage, so he decided to test it from a distance first. Corpse Bone Vein 10-finger piercing bullet. Starting with the signature Corpse Bone Vein fighting style, Kingxi aimed his 10 fingers at Ling's position and bone bullets shot continuously at Ling at high speed. Seeing Kingxi use the signature ninjutsu of the Corpse Bone Vein, Bai, who had just fought with Kingxi, understood that the young master had shown mercy to him. Sure enough, little Kingxi has awakened the Corpse Bone Vein. He is a bloodline ninja who is only 9 years old and has the strength of a Jonin. God bless Kirigakure. The master kept sighing, and a bold idea emerged in his mind. He wanted to train Kingxi to become a Mizukage. Seeing Ling had no intention of dodging, Ching Si felt something was wrong. The high-speed bone bullet shot directly through Ling's body and turned him into a sieve. Ling, who had no resistance, turned into a pool of water and scattered on the ground. Sure enough, it was a water clone. But Kingxi didn't see Ling's hand seals, and could only sigh that he was worthy of being an elite Jonin. The launch of ninjutsu was not only secretive but also very fast. Chapter 18. Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. The roar of a water dragon was heard behind Kingxi. Kingxi, who had already displayed the corpse bone vein, did not choose to use water-style ninjutsu to resist this time. Instead, he simply activated the chakra in his whole body, quickly forming a layer of hard periosteum under the skin to enhance the body's defense. Corpse vein bone shield technique. Relying on his indestructible defense, he withstood the impact of the water dragon bullet launched by the elite Jonin. Kingxi pulled out the spine from behind with his right hand and quickly swung it towards Ling's location. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Vines. Shocked by Qingxi's strong defense, Ling had no time to dodge and was entangled by the bone whip. Qingxi pulled hard and quickly pulled Ling towards him. At the same time, his left hand was quickly wrapped by a large amount of bones to form a spiral bone flower. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Flower. The white bone drill stabbed fiercely at the spirit that was being pulled over. As soon as he touched Ling's body, Kingxi felt that the touch was wrong. Ling turned into a pool of water again, and was hit by the iron wire flowers and splashed everywhere. Water style, water substitute. Ling used the substitution technique to exchange positions with the water clone that had been prepared in the distance, and avoided Kingxi's close attack on the face. Kingxi looked at Ling, who easily resolved several of his attacks and was able to launch counterattacks at the same time, and he had a clearer understanding of the strength of the elite Jonin. Water style, Basaixi Yuha. Exploding water wave. The surface of the lake in the distance began to boil, and a large amount of lake water rushed towards Kingxi under Ling's control. The offensive and defensive forces suddenly changed. The impact of a large number of water waves gathered together was much stronger than the water dragon bomb. Qingxi did not want to resist it head-on, and quickly dodged to the side, avoiding the direct impact of the water waves. Under the influence of the blasting waves, the area where the two fought was already covered with water. The geographical advantage Ling wanted was achieved. Water release, Kirigakure Jutsu. The hidden mist technique can be said to be the standard for the jounin of the hidden mist village. Almost everyone knows it, and it is even one of the must-learn ninjutsu in the Anbu. Chakra filled the air, and a large amount of thick fog rose up, quickly covering the entire battlefield. Kingxi's vision was severely obstructed, and he soon lost the figure of Ling in the fog. Although Kingxi has all 7 attributes of chakra, he has not yet practiced any jutsu other than water jutsu. Therefore, he does not have a good way to crack the mist hidden technique and can only passively defend in the fog. Whoosh! A sound of breaking air came from the side. Kingxi pulled out a bone blade from his body and waved his hand to block it. It was a tentative attack launched by Ling with a kunao in the fog. Ling tested Kingxi's reaction speed and knew that long-range attacks such as kunao would be ineffective, so he drew out the ninja sword on his back and prepared to engage in close combat with Kingxi. As the captain of the Dark Wing under the master, Ling has a certain understanding of the corpse bone vein of the Kagaya clan. However, in the mist hidden art that blocks vision, it is his home field, and he is confident that he can defeat Kingxi, who has awakened the corpse bone vein. Ling appeared silently behind Kingxi, swung the ninja sword and slashed at Kingxi's back. But what he didn't know was that Kingxi's perception was very strong, so strong that he could still sense his movements under the interference of the chakra of the mist hidden technique. His appearance was clearly exposed to Kingxi's perception. Boom! Kingxi turned around to resist, and the bone blade in his hand collided heavily with Ling's ninja sword, making a huge roar. Although Kingxi could clearly sense Ling's movements, his body could not keep up with his perception. As a strong man with strength close to the level of Cage, Ling's speed was much faster than Kingxi's. After several exchanges, Kingxi found it increasingly difficult to keep up with Ling's attacks. Chakra flowed through his body, quickly covering his entire body. Shake bone pulse dance of Karamatsu. All the bones in his body broke out and grew sharp bone spurs, while Kingxi's body was spinning rapidly on the spot. Ling's continuous attacks were forced to stop, and he hid in the fog again, preparing for the next attack. I can't go on like this. Without learning wind-style ninjutsu, my chakra will be exhausted if I continue like this. Kingxi thought. Then I have no choice but to use this move. Although I haven't mastered it very well yet. Dance. Corpse vein, dance of the early ferns. Kingxi put his hands together, mobilized most of the chakra in his body, and then slammed his hands heavily on the ground. Dense white bone spurs quickly grew out from the ground and soon formed a forest of bones. Sensing the chakra bursting out from Kingxi's position, Ling quickly retreated, although he didn't know what move Kingxi used. But Ling's action was still a step too late, and the bone spur had already grown to his position. Ling had no choice but to keep swinging his sword to cut off the bone spurs that attacked him. The early Warbana dance is the ultimate dance of the Kagaya clan. Only a few clan members have mastered it, and it appears very rarely in the ninja world. Therefore, this move is not included in the information Ling has about the corpse bone vein. The spirit that was hiding and standing still nearby could not be sensed by Kingxi, but this movement instantly exposed him. "I found you!" Kingxi shouted softly, and with the help of the bone forest, he quickly appeared in front of Ling and launched an attack. Corpse vein willow dance. Bones in his shoulders, elbows, palms and knees quickly broke out of his body, and Kingxi launched a frantic attack on Ling. And Ling was worthy of the title of elite Jonin. Facing the double attack of the bone spurs underground and Kingxi in front of him, he remained calm and calmly blocked each of Kingxi's attacks. After a long time of attack, Ching Si gradually began to show a trace of fatigue. He found a flaw and quickly escaped from Ching Si's attack. Knowing that the mist hidden technique had no effect on Ching Si, he also dispersed the mist hidden technique. The thick fog slowly dissipated, revealing the two men who were still confronting each other. Ganbei, Aoi, and Master Yuan looked at the messy ground and the scattered bones after the thick fog dissipated, and couldn't help but show surprise again. Kingxi had given them too many surprises today. As Kingxi was able to hold out for so long under the hands of an elite Jonin and force the other party to give up the mist hidden technique, Master Yuan has roughly judged Kingxi's current strength. With the bloodline limit of Otsutsuki, Kingxi is stronger than ordinary Jonin. He can be defeated with a high probability, but it may be difficult to kill him. When facing elite Jonin, he has a certain ability to protect himself, but he cannot compete with him for a long time. Moreover, as an antique that has existed since the beginning of the village, Master Yuan has witnessed the dance of the early ferns with his own eyes and has a certain understanding of it. Regarding the fact that Kingxi could unleash the dance of early ferns at the age of only 9, Yuanshi could only say that he had never seen anyone with such a high talent. My grandson Kingxi has the qualities of a Mizukage. Yuanshi's heart, which had been silent for a long time, began to stir. Chapter 19. Let's stop here today. Master Yuan called the two to a halt, ending the fight. Kingxi and Ling walked towards each other and made the seal of reconciliation. "You are very strong, Master Kingxi." Ling praised Kingxi, then put on the mask he had just taken off during the battle and disappeared. "It's amazing, little Kingxi, a 9-year-old Jonin. Very good. Bye, take little Kingxi to register now, I will tell the third Hokage." The master turned to Bai beside him and instructed. "Yes, elder. Follow me, Master Kingxi," Bai replied respectfully. Name, Otsutsuki CG. Age, 9, born on February 19, 2 in Kirigakure. Height, 151 cm. Weight, XNUMX kg. Ninja registration number, 005666. Ninja level, Jonin. Mission experience, D level 0 times, C level 0 times, B level 0 times, A level 0 times, S level 0 times. Chakra attributes, wind, thunder, water, fire, earth, yin, yang. Bloodline limit, corpse veins. After registering his information, Kingxi officially joined Kirigakure as Otsutsuki Kingxi. With the guarantee of the elder Yuanshi, Kingxi directly obtained the status of Jonin. Then Aoi and Kingxi returned to Yuanshi together. After lunch, Master Yuan summoned the Anbu Captain Ling again and asked him to take Kingxi to the Anbu base to join the post. The master has already talked to the third Mizukage Bing and guaranteed that it would be easy for Kingxi to join Kirigakure and become an ANBU. Kingxi's long-cherished wish of joining Kirigakure and even entering the Anbu was realized easily under the order of the master. In the Hidden Mist village, the headquarters of the Anbu, Ling and Kingxi slowly walked into the barrier. At the same time, a masked ANBU ninja came from another direction, followed by a young man who had just passed the ANBU assessment. There is a scar under the boy's left eye that looks like a suture mark. He has iconic green hair and purple eyes. He carries a stick-like weapon with a hook at the front and decorated with green flowers on his back. The new generation of the Gujua family. Ling suddenly realized and recognized the boy's identity. The boy and Kingxi looked at each other, and felt a little curious about Kingxi, who joined the Anbu on the same day. After arriving at the base and receiving the standard equipment, Kingxi officially became a member of the Kirigakure Anbu. "Master Kingxi, I'll go back first. Next up is the induction training for the new members of the Anbu. There's no need to hide your strength. Ling hinted meaningfully. Kingxi came to the side and changed into the ANBU costume, put on the mask, and put the ninja sword behind his back. At this time, the boy who had just met had changed his clothes and approached Kingxi in a familiar manner. As people who joined the ANBU together, I think we should get to know each other. The young man's voice came. I'm Yagura from Karujushi, and you? Yagura stretched out his hands to Kingxi in a slightly lively manner. Otsutsuki CG. CG had no ill feelings towards Yagura, the shrine's leader, and replied calmly. At the same time, Kingxi stretched out his right hand and shook hands with Yagura politely. You really should get to know each other better. You will be teammates for a period of time in the future. A calm voice came from a distance. I'm the captain of the ANBU team, codenamed Feng, and I'll be your future captain. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have to get my approval. Come with me, newcomers. Feng said to the two of them, then turned and walked towards the training ground. Kingxi felt no emotion, as Ling had already hinted it to him. Yagura was a little nervous. He was the same age as Kyoji and had just become a chunin at the beginning of this year. With the arrangement of his family, it took him several months to finally reach the threshold requirements of the ANBU and passed the assessment to join the ANBU, but he understood that his strength was definitely at the bottom of the ANBU now. The nervous Yagura couldn't help but look at Kingxi, wanting to know what this new acquaintance was thinking. But to Yagura's disappointment, Kingxi didn't give any reaction and was very calm. Arriving at the training ground, Feng introduced the two newcomers. This is the fourth training ground at the headquarters base. There are 5 training grounds in total. The first 3 training grounds are for ANBU members to practice ninjutsu, and the 4th and 5th training grounds are for ANBU members to spar and fight. I'll give you 5 minutes to discuss tactics. You two will go together. If you can hold out against me for more than 10 minutes, you'll pass. Let me tell you a piece of information in advance. I'm a jonin who uses wind jutsu and water jutsu. Because of the existence of the master, Kingxi's affairs are kept highly confidential within the ANBU. Therefore, Feng is not clear about Kingxi's strength and just treats him as a normal new member of the ANBU. Yagura's face turned pale. 2 chunins, or perhaps an elite chunin and a chunin, were fighting against a battle-hardened ANBU jonin. Although they only needed to last 10 minutes, Yagura still felt that they had no chance of winning. What should we do, Kiyoshi? We definitely can't beat him. Do you know the mist hidden technique? If Captain Feng has no perception ability, we can hide our breath and delay for 10 minutes. Yagura was not clear about Kyoshi's strength. He just thought that he should be a chunin like himself, and at most an elite chunin. Hearing Yagura's analysis, Kingxi's mouth twitched. Or do you have any secret technique that can increase your strength? I am a chunin now, but I have a secret technique that can temporarily increase my strength, which can increase my strength to the level of an elite chunin in about 2 or 3 minutes. If you also have a similar explosive secret technique, let's work together to defeat Captain Feng in a short time. Yagura Zy attacked Kingxi like a Gatling gun. I'm a jonin. Kingxi couldn't stand Yagura's nonsense and said calmly. Yagura's mouth was still talking, but suddenly he seemed to hear some extraordinary information. Jonin. Yagura opened his mouth in shock. You are also 9 years old, right? How did you practice? Do you have any tricks? After a pause of about a few seconds, Yagura asked a series of questions like a machine gun. Shut up. Kingxi's head hurt. He had no idea what to do with Yagura, this funny guy. After passing the assessment, he and Yagura became teammates. With such a funny guy around, it seems that the days ahead will not be boring. The time is up, let's get started. Feng, who was resting with his eyes closed, suddenly spoke up. CG and Yagura were ready, bowed to the wind, and launched their attack. Kingxi quickly rushed towards the wind, buying time for Yagura behind him to perform ninjutsu. Wind escape breakthrough. Feng used the D-level wind-style ninjutsu without forming any hand seals. Although the power was too weak to hurt Kingxi, it was only used to slow down Kingxi's forward speed and buy enough time to form hand seals for his subsequent ninjutsu. Wind escape big breakthrough. After completing the seal, Feng used the next ninjutsu. The sea-level wind escape technique already had great power in his hands. A gust of wind blew violently towards Kingxi and Yagura behind him. Chapter 20. At the same time, Yagura in the back also prepared his ninjutsu. Wind escape. The typhoon has passed. Yagura also used wind jutsu, and the 2 gusts of wind filled with their own chakra collided with each other. Water escape water body. Seeing that his ninjutsu was blocked, Feng formed seals with his hands and summoned a water clone. Feng's real body quickly rushed towards Yagura, while the water clone stopped Kingxi. The naive Feng has no idea of Kingxi's strength and ability, and thinks that Kingxi is just an ordinary ANBU newcomer. He attempts to use his water clone, which has only 1/10 of his power, to fight Kingxi. Corpse Bone Pulse Chun's dance. Kingxi, who was used to using corpse bone veins as weapons in battle, did not use the ninja sword on his back. Instead, he drew bone blades from his arms, took mysterious steps, and attacked the water clone of Feng. On the other side, Yagura faced Feng head-on. Although Feng was not using 100% of his strength at the moment, the huge gap in strength between the Jonin and the Chunin still allowed Yagura to be easily suppressed. Water Release Water Mirror Technique. Yagura, who was struggling to resist, had to use almost all of his chakra to create a mirror made of water. A person who looked exactly like Feng appeared in the mirror, then quickly rushed out of the mirror and stood together with Feng's water clone. Yagura supported himself on the ground with his exhausted hands, breathing heavily. The water mirror technique was an A-level water-style ninjutsu awarded to him by his family when he was promoted to Chunin. As a Chunin, he lost his combat power immediately after performing it. Seeing Yagura use the water mirror technique that can copy the enemy and counterattack, Feng nodded secretly, and in his heart he had already acknowledged that Yagura could become a member of his team. Feng, who was about to burst out with chakra to defeat the water mirror technique, suddenly felt that his water clone was instantly defeated. Looking back, Feng only saw water splashing all over the sky and Kingxi holding the eerie white bone blade with a calm expression. Corpse bone vein? Feng asked with a puzzled look on his face. As a team leader of the Anbu, he knew that there were no members of the Kagaya clan serving in the village anymore. How could they send such a young member to join the Anbu when they had already fallen out with the village? It's not only the Kagaya clan that has the corpse bone vein. Ching Si knew what Feng wanted to ask, so he answered him. He didn't want to admit that he was from the Kagaya clan at all. Okay, no need to continue. Welcome to join the 6th team of the 1st division of the Anbu. Thinking that he might have been tricked by others, Feng, who knew the combat effectiveness of the corpse bone vein clearly, said unhappily. Gather at the first training ground of the Anbu headquarters at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. By the way, go back and think about your own Anbu code name if you think it is necessary to use a code name. Feng said this and left in a hurry. At the same time, in the Anbu chief's office, Captain General Jian and Team 1 Captain Wu were watching this scene using the surveillance equipment installed in the training ground. I still didn't get to see Feng get beaten up by this little guy. Don't blame me for not telling him the little guy's background. After all, he was arranged by Master Yuanqi. Wu sighed. The next morning, after having breakfast with Master Yuan at home, Kingxi dressed neatly and went to the Anbu headquarters. At the first training ground, the 4 members of the 6th team gathered here. Let's introduce ourselves to each other first. From now on, you will be a teammate. Let me start. Feng said. I'm Genji Yamei, the captain of the 6th squad under the 1st division of the Anbu. My code name is Feng. I'm a Jonin and I'm good at water jutsu and wind jutsu. Feng took off his mask, revealing a face that looked like an uncle. I'm Yagura Karatachi, codenamed Mirror, a Chunin. I'm good at water jutsu and have a certain perception ability. I can use the secret ninjutsu inherited from my family, water jutsu, water mirror jutsu. Yagura then introduced himself. Chino Kizuna, codename Hana, an elite Chunin who specializes in water-based medical ninjutsu. Chino introduced herself as she slowly took off her mask, revealing a face as pretty and delicate as a blooming flower. After the 3 of them finished their introductions, they all turned their gazes to Ching Si, who had not yet spoken. Otsutsuki CG, codenamed Bones, is a Jonin who is good at physical skills and has the bloodline limit of corpse bones. He also has the ability to perceive. CG retained some of his abilities and took off his mask, revealing his handsome and weird face. Hearing Kingxi's words, Feng took a breath of cold air. He was once again thankful that he had agreed to Yagura and Kingxi joining the team immediately after seeing Kingxi use the corpse bone vein yesterday. Otherwise, he would have been laughed at by others and beaten up for no reason. There was also a hint of shock in the eyes of Chinamai Hojiki who was standing by. Born in the Hojiki clan, she had seen many geniuses, but this was the first time she had seen a genius as great as Kiyoshi. Very good, then our 6th team is full today. Feng said after coming back to his senses. Hana, you will practice freely today. Jing and Gu, come with me. I will first familiarize you with the main base, and then learn the rules of the Anbu. We will officially start our mission tomorrow. Yes. Several people answered in unison. The Land of Frost, the Mountain Cemetery, and Uchiha Madara's underground base. After awakening the Samsara Eye and summoning Kagaya's 10 tails outer statue, Madara's life continued. And Madara's eyes, which had lost their sight due to using Izanagi, were also restored due to the awakening of the Samsara Eye. Inside the base, Madara stood up with difficulty, looking at the place on the outer path demon statue where Hashirama's cells were injected. An upper body exactly the same as Hashirama Senju had gradually grown out of it. He muttered to himself, Hashirama, just wait and see, I will prove that I am right. Black Zetsu, who had been hiding in the dark for a long time, saw that the time was almost ripe. After several months of cultivation, the number of Hashirama's cells had become very large. So Black Zetsu secretly communicated with some white Zetsu who were sleeping inside the outer path statue in ancient times because Kagaya planted the sacred tree for the second time and used the infinite moon reading, and asked them to merge with the cells of Hashirama who were being cultivated in the outer path statue. In order to take advantage of the opportunity of Uchiha Madara cultivating Senju Hashirama's cells, white Zetsu could reasonably appear. Chapter 21. The Hidden Mist Village, the Anbu headquarters, the director's office. Is it really okay for our team to carry out this mission? Feng asked worriedly. Feng, don't worry, they are capable enough for this task, go. Ken, the Anbu chief and captain general, replied with confidence in his tone. Normally, the configuration of an Anbu team is a combination of 1 Jonin, 1 elite Chunin, and 2 Chunins, but Feng's 6th team has 2 Jonins, which is beyond the standard. Feng knows that his team is luxurious among all the Anbu teams, but after all, 2 of them are newcomers who have never performed Anbu missions, so Feng is still a little nervous. At the first training ground, Kiyoshi, Yagura, and Chinano were talking in detail, trying to understand each other's fighting styles and abilities. At this time, Feng Shunshen appeared in front of the 3 people. Check your equipment. The mission location is the capital of the Water Nation. Meet at Channel 6 in a quarter of an hour. Disperse. After hearing the order, several people quickly dispersed. Putting on a mask, a grey Kirigakure vest, and a dark blue Kirigakure logo robe, Ching Si quickly ran towards the passage after getting ready. Let's go. Feng gave the order after several people arrived one after another. Whoosh! 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 4 sounds of breaking through the air were heard, and the 4 figures disappeared from the spot. The mission was issued by the daimyo of Water Country. The goal of the mission is to secretly kill a general of Water Country. It involves the political struggle within the capital, so it is not convenient for us in Kirigakure to intervene directly. Since the mission is likely issued directly by the daimyo, it can only be handed over to our Anbu to carry out the assassination, and we must not leave any traces. On the way, Feng explained the details of the mission to the 3 people. We already have specific intelligence about the target, but to be absolutely sure, we need to conduct another investigation after arriving at the capital. Feng said cautiously, not trusting the intelligence provided by the daimyo prefecture. Yes. The 3 answered at the same time. The worst among them were already Chunin. Therefore, they travelled at full speed and arrived at the capital of the Water Country in just 2 days in the evening of the 2nd day. As the capital that controls the economic lifeline of the Water Country, it is very prosperous. Although it is already late, it is still bustling with people. Let's take a night's rest first, and then split up to gather intelligence tomorrow. Feng decided after finding a random hotel to stay in. As 4 people who were carrying out an assassination mission and the target of the assassination was an important mission of the Water Country, for the sake of caution, it was better for them not to go to the Kirigakure official office in the Water Country. Although the Anbu also had a base in the capital, in order to not leave any clues, the few people also did not go there. The next day, the 4 people, who had rested their energy, began to collect intelligence. Feng was responsible for personally investigating the defense situation of the shogun's mansion, Kingxi was responsible for formulating the retreat plan en route, and Yagura and Chinano were responsible for collecting relevant information about the shogun himself. Not long after, Feng returned quietly, and then Kingxi, who was observing the route from the outside, also returned to his residence. Did you gain anything? Kingxi asked. The defenses are very tight, with patrolling soldiers everywhere and samurai stationed in key locations. There should be ninjas lurking in the dark, but I was afraid of alerting them, so I didn't conduct an in-depth investigation. We'll explore it again at night, and we'll need to rely on your and Yagura's perception abilities. Feng replied with a serious tone. Under such tight defense, it is extremely difficult to complete the assassination quietly and then retreat without being discovered by the guards. At noon, Yagura and Chinano, who had gone out to collect intelligence, also returned. Our guess is correct, 99% of the tasks were issued by the daimyo himself. Chino opened her mouth with bombshell news. We have learned from the trusted subordinates of the daimyo of the Land of Water that there have been frequent quarrels between the general and the daimyo in recent days. The general controls a large number of troops and privately raises a lot of samurai, which poses a substantial threat to the daimyo's rule. In addition, the two have completely opposite political views, so the daimyo wants to use us, Kirigakure, to get rid of him. Yagura added. It is indeed so. It seems that the general is also afraid that the daimyo will attack him secretly. No wonder the defense of his mansion is so tight. The expression on Feng's face was not looking good. Damn daimyo! Feng, who came from the Anbu, was only loyal to the Mizukage and had no respect for the daimyo. The few people who failed to reach an agreement decided to wait until night to visit the general's mansion again before making any plans. At night, Feng took Kingxi and Yagura and sneaked into the shogun's mansion. 3 dark shadows were quietly lying on the roof of the side entrance of the general's mansion. Feng used his eyes to signal Kingxi and Yagura to sense it. Yagura formed seals with his hands, his chakra fluctuated slightly, and his perception quickly enveloped the shogun's mansion. Kingxi's movements were more concise. He closed his eyes slightly, kept his body still, and the chakra in his body gradually became active. He put the index finger and middle finger of his right hand together and touched the tiles on the roof. In an instant, the situation in the general's mansion appeared in Kingxi's mind as if he had a god's perspective. Ninjutsu, Chakra Sensing Technique. Chapter 22. Yagura's perception ability is weaker than Kiyoshi's. While Kiyoshi was still perceiving carefully, Yagura had already put down his hands that were in seals and completed his perception. Just as Yagura gestured to Feng to express the results of his investigation, Kingxi also finished his investigation. Seiji's chakra perception technique was derived from the chakra perception technique of the second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, and combined with Seiji's own perception ability. It is the most powerful perception ninjutsu in Otsutsuki is Heiki's memory. Although his perception distance cannot be as far as that of Tobirama Senju, which can sense the life strength and chakra intensity of any target in a wide range, Kingxi's perception ninjutsu also has its advantages. Not only can he use perception ninjutsu to sense the life force and chakra strength of all nearby targets, but even the target's current state and movements can be clearly presented in Kingxi's mind one by one. This is simply the best ability for latent assassinations and intelligence gathering and exploration. After finishing his perception, Ching Si signaled to the two to retreat. He had already found out the details of the entire general's mansion. Although surprised by the range and accuracy of Kingxi's perception, Yagura and Feng reacted immediately. They used instant body movement to disappear into the night one after another and soon returned to their residence. They came to Feng's room and called China, who was resting in the hotel, and they began to make a plan. Gu, this is the terrain distribution of the general's mansion that I explored during the day. Come and see if there is anything wrong. Taking out a scroll, Feng said to Kingxi. Jing, you first tell me the information you have sensed, and Gu will provide the rest. Feng said to Yagura again. My perception distance is limited, and it can only cover the front yard of the general's mansion. In my perception, there are a total of 10 people stationed in the front yard, 2 of whom have strong chakra reactions, and their chakra strength is stronger than mine. 5 of them are patrolling each other in the open, 2 others are resting in the rooms in the yard, and the remaining 3 are secret sentries, hiding in the corners. Yagura spread out a scroll and described the situation he perceived in detail on the scroll. There are 2 ninjas and 8 samurai. The ninjas are inside the house, and the remaining sentries and patrols are all samurai. One of the 2 ninjas is an elite chunin and the other is a chunin. The other samurai also have chakra in their bodies, but the strength is not very high, just reaching the level of genin. Kingxi, who had already checked the map drawn by Feng, added. After passing the front yard and entering the main courtyard, there are 5 people protecting the third house on the left very closely, which is the suspected location of the target. Among the 5 people, there are 2 jonins and the rest are elite chunins. One of the jonins has an extremely strong vitality and is very likely a physical ninja or a bloodline ninja. There are people protecting the other rooms as well, but their numbers and strength are far weaker than the one just now. There are 2 teams of soldiers stationed in the backyard, each with 10 people. Kingxi finished telling all the situations he sensed in one breath and marked them one by one on the scroll. It's not easy. It's almost impossible to kill the target without alerting other people. Feng looked solemn. Hua, what do you think? Feng asked, turning his eyes to Chino Kizuna. Captain, is it possible to use the mist hidden technique to mix sleeping pills in the mist, use wind escape to blow the mist over, stun all the guards and then kill the target directly? Kiano's ideas came to mind. It's not feasible. The mist released by the mist hidden technique will carry a relatively strong chakra aura. Even if those ninjas don't have the ability to perceive it, when the mist diffuses, the fluctuating chakra will definitely make them wary and even issue a warning. Yagura retorted. It's unlikely that we can reach the target location without a fight. But if a fight breaks out, even if we successfully complete the mission, Kirigakure will definitely be suspected, and this will affect the relationship between the village and the land of water. Feng was a little distressed. The Kizuki clan. Oh, I remember that the Kizuki clan is proficient in a secret technique called the water transformation technique that can turn the entire body into liquid, right? Ching Si suddenly asked after thinking for a long time. Yes, this is a secret ninjutsu passed down from generation to generation by the Kizuna clan. Before China could answer, Yagura spoke first. So, Hana, can you use this trick? CG asked Chino Kizuna to confirm. Yes, every member of the Kizuna clan who becomes a ninja must learn to master the art of water transformation. Chino replied with a hint of pride in her tone. Very good, then I have a bold idea. Kingxi got the answer he wanted. We need to choose a rainy night to act, using the mist hiding technique to attract their attention. Chino will use a combination of water clone and water transformation technique to approach them from the ground, and then attack at the same time. Attracted by the fog, they will not pay much attention to the ground. What's more, on rainy days, water will accumulate on the ground, and the flow of rain water will not attract attention. Yagura and I both have perception abilities, and we will assist from the side and kill any fish that slipped through the net and were not killed in one blow. We must make sure that they do not make any noise. Kiyoshi explained his plan to the 3. The 3 people's eyes lit up, and they felt that although Kingxi's plan depended on the right time, it was highly feasible. I can also use my water mirror technique to copy Hana's attack pattern, which will make it more foolproof. Yagura added excitedly. In this way, after killing the guards quietly, Captain Feng can enter the house and quickly kill the target and then we can retreat. If all goes well, it is unlikely to alert the people in the front and backyards. Kingxi concluded. It's a good plan. Let's do it this way. We'll refine the details, wait for a rainy night, and then take action. Feng exclaimed. Chapter 23. The 4 of them refined all the details they could think of within the framework proposed by Kingxi, making sure to accomplish their goal in one go. After all, if they fail this time, it also means that their Kirigakure identities will most likely be exposed, and they will definitely face huge political resistance. An ordinary person, although a general who controls a large number of troops in a country, was able to cause several mist-hidden village elites to go to great lengths to assassinate him, so it can be said that his death was worthy. In the next few days, the weather was very good, so good that there were sunny days for several days in a row, which was rare in the Water Kingdom, a country with frequent clouds and fog all year round. It seemed as if the Six-Path Sage also wanted to send the general off and let him take a good look at the last sunrise for a few more days. At the beginning, Kiyoshi, Yagura, and Chinano were in the mood to go out to the street and experience life every day. With the outgoing and talkative Yagura by their side, the 2 boys quickly became familiar with Chinano, who was 4 years older than them. The relationship between the 3 people gradually changed from simple teammates to friends. But after a long wait, there was no rain, which made Kingxi and his companions impatient, because the mission time was only 1 month, and now half of the time had passed. Although they did not know the specific conflict between the daimyo and the general, since the daimyo government gave a month and there was no extension, it meant that if the mission time was exceeded, even if the target was killed, it would be useless to the daimyo, which also meant the failure of the mission. However, impatience would not have any effect on the weather in the Water Kingdom, so they could only suppress their anxiety and continue to wait patiently. While waiting, they continued to collect relevant intelligence every day, enriching the character profile of the target in order to make the plan perfect. Ching Si and others had a clearer understanding of the target to be assassinated. As a great nobleman under the name of the water country, it can be said that the general is not a good person. No, it can even be said that there are few good people in the entire aristocracy. If all the nobles of the water kingdom were brought out and killed, there might be a few nobles who were wrongly accused, but if 9 lucky people were randomly selected out of 10 people and killed, there would definitely be some who slipped through the net. Enslaving civilians, treating them as grass, imposing heavy taxes, and leading a decadent and corrupt life are all commonplace. They committed gangsterism, raped women, had no humanity, were cruel and ruthless, and would beat and kill people at will if they were dissatisfied with the slightest thing. These aristocrats were simply capable of all kinds of evil. They plundered land and killed people for fun by any means. They abused public power unscrupulously and enriched themselves at the expense of the public. They were corrupt and degenerate at will and committed crimes. This is the true portrayal of most of the nobles in the entire ninja world. As the rulers of the world, they were above everyone else. The onmyoji of the ancient times, the samurai and ninja of the warring states period were just tools in their eyes. As a newly debuted Kirigakure ninja, Kyoji's first mission was to assassinate a stranger he had never met before. Although ninjas are mercenaries who exist to complete missions, this mission constantly challenges Kyoji's inexperienced and unformed bottom line, who has memories of living in a peaceful era in his previous life. Kyoji previously just endured the discomfort in his heart to fulfill his duties as a Kirigakure ninja and an elite member of the Anbu. But as he continued to gather intelligence on the general and learn more about the nobles, he gradually became calm about the task of assassinating such a scum. Even for the daimyo, the respect that Kingsi had for the ruler of this country was gradually disappearing. In his previous life, he received education under the red flag, and in this life he has never received orthodox ninja education. Although Kingsi was born into the ninja clan, he grew up in a closed and remote village. After awakening his past life memories, Kingsi gradually developed his own thoughts. He did not think that the ninja world should be like this. Although Kingsi did not fully understand the various political systems of the Blue Star in his previous life, at least the deformed one country one village political system of the ninja world made him feel extremely wrong. To put it bluntly, a ninja village is a gathering place where mercenary organizations gather together, but it is the largest violent organization in a country, and it is also subject to the economic control of ordinary people, which is really ridiculous. The ninjas who hold the high-end power in the ninja world are actually led by the nobles. This seems a bit ridiculous to Kingsi. The prosperous social scene in the previous life and the memory of the first ninja clan era 1,000 years ago. Although Kingji did not agree with Otsutsuki Hagoromo's slightly naive idea of making everyone reach mutual understanding, he did not deny that the earliest ninja clan did have a beautiful scene. The essence of the chakra power in the ninja world is actually the love, hatred, and vengeance of the Otsutsuki family. Although there are some local fairy creatures involved, it is harmless. The essence of the struggle in the ninja world is the struggle for interests. Struggle is actually an alternative continuation of politics. When the interests required cannot be achieved through peaceful means such as negotiation and exchange, the party in need is likely to resort to force, that is, war. Kingsi, who had already seen through the essence of these things in his memory, slowly began to have some ideas in his mind. A spark of change slowly ignited in Kingsi's heart, and it will burn brighter and brighter in the future. As Kingsi's thoughts continue to mature, it will eventually sweep across the entire ninja world. 5 days passed quickly, and just when Kingsi and his companions had given up hope and had to admit that the mission had failed, a long-awaited heavy rain suddenly arrived. The weather was like the mood of the Sage of Six Paths, changing at any time. 1 minute the sun was shining brightly, and the next moment dark clouds appeared, and heavy rain hit the land of water unexpectedly. Time slowly came to night, and darkness enveloped the entire city. It was the second half of the night, the time when people were most tired. Even the energetic ninjas gradually lost their vigilance after nearly a month of high-intensity defense. The rain continued to fall, perhaps because it had not fallen for half a month, and the rain did not weaken at all. Under the night sky, the rain was pouring down, as if a curtain of water was hanging between the sky and the earth. The continuous rain blurred the vision, as if the whole world was shrouded in rain. The time to act has come. Kingsi and the other 3 put on the clothes they had prepared long ago to hide their identities. Although they were confident that they would not be discovered, they still decided to change their clothes to ensure that everything would be safe. Thanks to Kingsi's excellent perception ability, they arrived at the outskirts of the main courtyard without alarming anyone in the front yard. Water release, Kirigakure Jutsu. As the captain who is good at water jutsu, Feng took the lead and carefully mobilized his chakra to prevent it from emitting too obvious fluctuations. The thick fog was controlled by the wind and slowly spread from the periphery to the target location. The heavy rain had already obstructed the vision, and the slowly dispersing fog did not arouse the suspicion of the guarding ninjas. In the yard in front of the target house, 5 ninjas gathered under a tree in the yard, hiding from the rain and chatting casually. The mission will be completed soon. Big brother, after we get the reward in a few days, we will go and have some fun together. I have been guarding here every step of the way for more than half a month, and I am really bored. I shouldn't have taken on this protection mission for the huge reward. One of the short ninjas complained. Bear with it, fourth brother. I have no choice. This old guy is willing to spend money. Zzz, 5 million taels, just enough to keep him alive for a month, which is equivalent to us robbing him a dozen times. These damn nobles are really rich. The tall and strong eldest brother among the 5 wandering ninjas explained with a slightly emotional tone. As wandering ninjas, they often robbed merchant caravans, but the knowledge passed down for thousands of years meant that as ninjas, they had never had any thoughts about the nobles. Therefore, when the general guessed that the daimyo was likely to kill him, he hired the notorious 5 wandering ninja brothers to protect him for this month. As for why he did not issue a mission to the Hidden Mist Village, on the one hand, he did not trust the Hidden Mist Village, which nominally belonged to the daimyo of the Land of Water, and on the other hand, being greedy for money, he did not want to pay a huge price to issue a mission to the Hidden Mist Village, one of the 5 major ninja villages. The money he paid to hire these 5 brothers for a month would probably cost him double or even triple the price if he wanted to hire ninjas of similar strength in the Hidden Mist Village. However, the general who had no knowledge of ninjas did not know the difference in strength between ninjas from large ninja villages and those from small ninja villages or even wandering ninjas. As jonins, the jonins from large ninja villages could easily beat the jonins from wandering ninjas. Not to mention that wandering ninjas were mostly ordinary ninjas, while the large ninja villages not only had all kinds of strange secret techniques, but also had extremely mysterious bloodline limits. About 10 minutes later, the thick fog had completely enveloped the general's house and the small courtyard in front of it. Chino Kizuna and her water clones and the copies made by Yagura water mirror technique, who had already approached the 5 waves ninja with the flow of rainwater on the ground, were ready to attack. In the distance, Kingxi, with his nervous eyes, stared at the 5 men, ready to make a finishing move at any time. Do it! Feng controlled the mist to emit chakra fluctuations. The eldest of the 5 was a jonin, but he had only become a jonin because he had accidentally eaten a strange grass in his early years, which made him extremely strong and powerful. The second oldest was just an ordinary ninjutsu jonin who had just been promoted, and the other 3 were just ordinary wandering ninjas. Thinking that something was wrong, the 2 jonin noticed something was wrong and their attention was instantly drawn to the chakra fluctuations in the air. Before they could be alerted or react, Chinano and Yagura's attacks arrived. Yagura was responsible for killing the little guy who complained at the beginning, and the rest were left to Chinano and her 3 water clones. The 5 wave ninjas who had no perception ability were completely powerless to resist the action planned to the extreme by Kingxi and the other 3. In an instant, 3 people with the strength of elite Chunin had their throats slit and died. Although the eldest and second in command, who were both jonin, tried to dodge and avoided Chinano's fatal blow, they were shot through the heart by a 10-finger bullet from Ciji, who had been locking onto them from a distance. Chinano, her water clones, and Yagura beside them caught the bodies of the 5 people, and at the same time covered their mouths tightly to prevent them from uttering their last cries of death. The rain was falling more and more urgently, as if it was coordinating with their actions. The sound of raindrops hitting the ground perfectly covered up the subtle sounds of their attacks. Seeing the 3 people succeed, Feng quickly dissipated the chakra that maintained the mist-hidden technique, and the wind chakra swirled around his body, and he quickly rushed into the house. The general was still sleeping at this time, unaware that the 5 wandering ninja brothers, whom he had hired at a huge expense, had all gone to see the Sage of 6 Paths. Yin Mao Su Wei Chen, the 5 seals were completed in the blink of an eye. Wind release, wind cut technique. Without any hesitation, Feng used the wind cutting technique to cut across the general's neck. The extremely concentrated wind attribute chakra gathered together to form an extremely sharp wind blade, which easily cut through without causing a single drop of blood. The general who controlled most of the army of the water country died quietly in his own home. After confirming the target's death again, Kingxi and his 4 companions erased all traces of their presence, took away the bodies of the 5 wandering ninja brothers with a scroll, and returned to the inn in the thick night. Chapter 24. Having successfully completed the mission, everyone was a little excited, especially Yagura and Seiji. The first mission they completed after becoming members of the Anbu was an S-level mission of such high difficulty. This was a glorious achievement in their resumes. What's more, after being identified by Feng, they also killed 5 stray ninjas with bounties in the process, so it can be said that they made a small fortune. Of course, this excludes Kiyoshi, who has unknowingly become a wealthy man in the ninja world. Although the other 3 now know that Ching Si has a small fortune of hundreds of millions, they don't know that Ching Si is currently one of the mysterious senior executives behind the underground gold exchange. After the excitement faded, they returned to their rooms to rest. After going to the gold exchange tomorrow and relaxing in the capital of the Water Kingdom, they would return to the village. The next morning, the people who completed the task got up early. After breakfast, the 4 of them set out separately. As the team leader, Feng went to the underground gold exchange to exchange for the bounty, while the other 3 got half a day to rest and have a good time in the capital. In the past few days, they have been in a tense state of carrying out tasks, and each time they go out, it is mainly for the purpose of collecting intelligence. Today, they finally have some free time to take a good look at this city with a long history. Coming to the street and quietly feeling the hustle and bustle, the boys and girls felt a long-lost sense of relaxation. Have you heard? That damn vampire was found dead in his home this morning. It seems that he was killed by someone seeking revenge. The civilians on the street were talking about it. It seemed that what they did last night had spread, and the news of the general's death had spread throughout the capital. That inhumane guy is indeed dead, but he was killed by his own men, who took his money and ran away. Believe me, my brother's neighbor's third aunt's son's friend's father's younger brother's neighbor works as a servant in the general's mansion, and the news is absolutely accurate. Someone spread it. It's so satisfying. Just based on what he has done, if he wasn't in control of the army, he would have died countless times. Another person continued. Well done. Whoever did it, I think they are really good people. The 3 people who were inexplicably given the nice guy card turned around, looked at each other, and smiled at each other. It turned out that when the general was killed in the second half of the night, no one was alarmed. All the people stationed in the front and backyards thought everything was normal until the next morning when the servants prepared breakfast and waited for the general to get up and eat. After waiting for a long time, the general did not come. The general's son, who was puzzled, prepared to go to the general's house to wake him up. After entering the courtyard, he did not see the 5 wandering ninja brothers who had been protecting the general in the courtyard for the past few days. He immediately felt something was wrong and rushed into the room. When he saw the general lying straight on the ground with no vital signs, he was stunned and let out a huge scream and curse. He could not believe that his father, who held great power and almost stood at the top of the Water Kingdom, died in such a miserable way. The general's son felt dizzy and his head was spinning. Although he ordered the news to be blocked after he recovered, the servants and guards who had been attracted by his screams and curses had already discovered that the general was dead. Among these people, there were many spies secretly arranged by other nobles and even daimyo. Therefore, with the help of those who had ulterior motives, the news quickly spread throughout the capital. At this time, the daimyo was also somewhat satisfied with the 3rd Mizukage Bing. The assassination was successful without leaving any trace under the strict defense. The Hidden Mist village still had some merits. The daimyo of the Land of Water, who had gotten rid of his biggest worry, generously decided to give more of the military budget this year to the Hidden Mist village, at least 10% to 20% more. On the busy streets, the cries of various vendors could be heard constantly. Yagura, who had never been to the capital, and Kiyoshi, who had only passed by the capital once, were dazzled by the dazzling array of goods and food. They wanted to buy anything new and wanted to eat anything delicious. Chino, who was standing by, looked at her 2 younger brothers with amusement as they showed their youthful nature. She was infected by their liveliness and couldn't help but smile. Sister Chino, come quickly. The 3 of them, whose relationship has improved rapidly in recent days, have begun to call each other brother and sister. Chino Kizuna is 4 years older than the 2, so she must be the older sister. Seiji was born in February, almost 2 months earlier than Yagura on April 4. In addition, Yagura is obviously underdeveloped and short, so Yagura has no choice but to take on the title of the younger brother in the team. Kiyoshi, I want to eat this, it looks delicious. Yagura pointed to a small shop selling takoyaki on the street and said. The unfortunate child simply thought he was out on a mission, so he brought everything with him except money. Hehe, Call me brother. I'll treat you to a meal. Kingsley couldn't help but tease. Although Yagura acknowledged that he was the youngest among the three and often called Chinano sister, he was too proud to call CG brother. Sister Chinano, look at Kingsley, he is bullying me again. With no money in his pocket and no confidence, Yagura had to complain to Chinano. Chapter 25. Chino also felt like playing at this time. She shook her head at Yagura and made a gesture of spreading her hands like a little bear, which directly silenced Yagura. After nearly a month of contact, Kiano already knew that Kingsley was a hidden rich man. She was still thinking about letting Kingsley treat her to a meal later, so of course she would not refuse Kingsley's face at this time. Yagura's face turned red from holding it in. Under the expectant gazes of CG and Chinano, it took him a long time before he finally made a mosquito-like sound in a shy manner. Brother Kingsley. What? Speak louder, I couldn't hear you clearly. Kingsley wanted to tease the tsundere Yagura again. Yagura mentally prepared himself for a long time, then he mustered all his strength and shouted loudly, word by word. Ching. Si. Brother. Ha ha ha. CG and Chinano couldn't help but laugh out loud. Although this little brother Yagura is usually very familiar, he is still quite cute in this aspect. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Here, take the money and go buy it. Kingsley handed the money to Yagura. Soon Yagura came back with the takoyaki he had bought in his hands. Sister Chino, this is yours. Brother CG, this is for you. After shamefully calling out the word brother which he had always been reluctant to say, Yagura seemed to have opened up his Ren and Du meridians, and no longer had any resistance to calling CG brother. Walking and stopping on the street, the three of them tried all the delicious food they saw and ate until their stomachs were full. After meeting up with Captain Feng at an izakaya at noon, Feng looked at the three people who were so full that they could hardly walk. Then he thought about how he had worked so hard to go to the underground money exchange to change money and then quickly returned to share the money with everyone to make them happy. He looked at them without saying a word. Captain, you're back. Yagura said happily, how much reward did you get? Yagura was a little excited as he was finally going to have money. His pig brain which was already stuffed with food almost stopped working and he didn't notice Feng's increasingly dark face. Feng pulled Yagura to a corner. Yagura, who thought Feng was going to give him some money, was suddenly beaten up. Feng attacked fiercely, muttering something as he hit him. I asked you to share the money. I asked you to eat. I asked you to leave me alone. Yagura's screams were so painful that anyone who heard them would cry and feel sad. After a long time, Feng Shen, who had let out a breath of anger, came back refreshed with Yagura, whose face was bruised and swollen. The five brothers of the wandering ninja, who had committed numerous crimes and were wanted by many parties, received a total bounty of 20 million taels, which was nearly half of a summa. Although there were 2 jonin and 3 elite junins in total, they were just wandering ninjas after all. Being able to exchange them for 20 million ryo was already a pleasant surprise, so they were all quite satisfied. In the end, Feng and CG were both jonin. Feng, as the captain, took 7 million ryo, CG got 5 million ryo, Chinano contributed the most and also got 5 million ryo, and the remaining 3 million ryo went to Yagura, who was at the Chuyunin level. After the three of them put the money into the storage scrolls they carried with them, they called the waiter and prepared to have lunch with their hard-working Captain Feng. When he heard that he had to order food, Yagura, who had just been beaten up, suddenly became energetic again. I don't know if he had reached his rebellious stage or the wind was too gentle, but the 9-year-old kid Yagura actually wanted to drink, and he called it a bold attempt in life. Chino, who was originally smiling, suddenly frowned. She grabbed Yagura's ear and pulled him over, then clamped his neck with one hand and taught him a lesson. Yagura. You're only 9 years old and you're already thinking about drinking. How did you learn the 3 ninja prohibitions? Are you still thinking about going to a brothel to listen to music and be under the moonlight? Yagura, whose fate was strangled by the neck, woke up at this time and kept admitting his mistakes. After Chino's lecture, Yagura had no choice but to sign a series of unequal treaties before being let go. After some playfulness, the relationship between them was further sublimated. The 3 siblings, whose personalities were extremely compatible and whose parents had all passed away, gradually became very close to each other, as if it was destined. In the afternoon, the few people who had replenished their energy set out on the journey back to the Hidden Mist village. Because the mission had been completed, and the Anbu stipulated that teams that completed S-level missions in peacetime could enjoy a 5-day free vacation. The few of them were not in a hurry, but instead walked slowly while enjoying the scenery of the water country along the way. On the morning of the 4th day, just as the sun rose, 4 figures slowly approached the hidden mist village. After entering the village from the Anbu passage they had passed through when they set out, the group separated. Kiyoshi, Yagura, and China went home to enjoy the last 2 days of vacation. As the captain, Feng had to go back to the Anbu headquarters to submit the mission. In the director's office at the headquarters of the Anbu, Feng Zhang respectfully reported the situation of the entire mission to the Anbu chief captain Jian. After a long time, Jian smiled with satisfaction after listening to the report. They are indeed the Anbu rookies he is most optimistic about. Lord Jian, your decision is absolutely correct. If it were any other team, it would be hard to say whether they could complete the task so perfectly and smoothly. In time, I believe that Gu, Jing, and Hua will become the pillars of our Kirigakure. Feng's words to the 3 were full of recognition and hope. Haha. Jian smiled but didn't answer. Seeing that the captain had no other instructions, Feng respectfully withdrew. He also wanted to enjoy his vacation. Chapter 26. In front of Yuanxi's house. No, now it can also be said that it is in front of Kingxi's house. Kingxi happened to meet Ganbei, who was about to go out to deal with Yuanxi. Uncle Ganbei. Long time no see. Kingxi was still the humble boy and greeted Ganbei. Master Kingxi, good morning. It seems that the mission was carried out smoothly. Come in quickly. Master Yuanxi knows that you are back and is waiting for you. Ganbei replied in the same kind manner. As an Anbu, Kingxi's whereabouts and missions are normally kept absolutely confidential. But Ganbei is the personal bodyguard and housekeeper of the elder Yuanxi, so it is not surprising that he knows about Kingxi's situation. Moreover, as an elder with power equal to that of the Mizukage, Yuanxi is not in charge of things now, but his influence is still there. When Kingxi and his companions stepped into the village, someone had already told Yuanxi about Kingxi's return. Grandpa. I'm back. Kingxi felt full of closeness and respect for this old man who truly treated him as his own grandson. Come here, little Kingxi, let Grandpa see you, you're not hurt. Although he had already learned the result of the mission, and Master Yuan also knew that his grandson's strength should not be underestimated, he still expressed his concern for Kingxi, who was carrying out an Anbu mission for the first time. How could I be injured? I'm very strong. Kingxi said proudly. Ha ha ha, that's right, of course my grandson is very strong. Master Yuan smiled kindly at Kingxi, his eyes full of satisfaction with Kingxi. Here, to celebrate your first completion of an S-level mission, Grandpa will give you a reward. Master Yuan said as he stood up and walked to the side, picked up the scroll that had been prepared long ago and handed it to Kingxi. This was given to me by an old man from the Hyga clan. He originally asked me to hand him over to the Genji at the right time. When mentioning Kingxi's father, Yuanxi paused subconsciously and continued, but I didn't expect that I would never see him again. Grandpa. It's all over. Kingxi called softly. Yes, it's all in the past. Yuanxi also sighed, now I'm handing it over to you. It's said to be the only existing scroll that records the entire history and secrets of the Hyga clan. Use your bloodline power to sense it carefully, and you will know how to open it. Go back and study it carefully. Ching Si took the scroll and was very satisfied with the reward given by Master Yuan. Kingxi is not short of ninjutsu. The memory given by his Heike contains a large number of ninjutsu that he has seen and collected over the past 1,000 years, waiting for him to slowly explore and learn. The information obtained from his memory allowed Kingxi to have a relatively good understanding of the Kagaya clan, but it was absolutely impossible for him to know all the information about the clan like this old senior. Go ahead. You don't have to stay here with me. Go and study hard and continue to improve yourself. I'm looking forward to the day when you become the Mizukage. Master Yuan expressed his expectations to Kingxi for the first time. Kingxi was stunned when he heard that. He didn't expect that the master would have so much confidence in him. However, when he thought about it carefully, it made sense. A 9-year-old genius bloodline Jonin, and a descendant of a famous family, with the elder master as his grandfather, Kingxi already had all the prerequisites to become a Mizukage. He could be said to be of good family background. Chang Yuanxi smiled shyly, which was considered as his approval of Yuanxi's idea. Then Kingxi bowed respectfully to Yuanxi and turned back to his room. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, King C placed the scroll on his legs and urged the chakra containing the power of the corpse bone vein in his body to flow towards the seal on the scroll. As a large amount of chakra containing the power of the corpse bone vein flowed into the scroll, after a while, there was a click sound, as if a lock was opened, and the scroll automatically unfolded. King C began to browse it carefully, and the opening introduction surprised him a little. The Hyuga clan, their original bloodline originated from the bloodline of God, and their ancestor's name was Otsutsuki Hamura. CG knew this because he had Otsutsuki Ishaiki's memories, but in this age when thousand-year-old clans like the Senju and Uchiha have lost most of their history, it's incredible that a clan like the Hyuga, which only knew how to be reckless, still has a scroll that records history from 1,000 years ago. The ancestor of Hamura passed down 3 bloodlines, and there are only 2 left in the ninja world now, namely Hinata who inherited the eyes, and Kagaya who inherited the body. In King C's memory, Kagaya and Hinata's bloodlines were passed down by the descendants of Hamura who returned to the ninja world from the moon. It seems that although the Kagaya clan passed down some things from 1,000 years ago, they did not know the relevant information about the moon, nor did they know that there was a bloodline of Hamura on the moon. It is speculated that the eyes and the body can complement each other. When the eyes and the body appear together at the same time, they can obtain the ultimate power in the world. Seeing this, King C was stunned. This was information he did not know. Although he knew that Kagaya and Hinata were both descendants of Hamura, he had never thought that there would be any connection between the two. But in a moment he thought of something and looked enlightened. Yes, King C remembered some information fragments he saw in his previous life. The Uchiha clan and the Senju clan are the descendants of the six-path sage Otsutsuki Hagoromo's eyes and body. When the power of the Senju and Uchiha merges into one, the power of the six paths will be drawn out. Then the combination of the power of Hyuga and Kagaya, who are both descendants of immortals, should be able to produce similar power. For thousands of years, our tribe has maintained close contact with the Hyuga clan, sharing what we have and even intermarrying many times. The result of complementarity is gratifying. It is reflected in the Hyuga clan that the purity of the Byakugan has been improved, and they can see farther and even have the eye technique of chakra pressure and intimidation. It is reflected in Kagaya that it can greatly enhance the ability of the corpse bone vein, making Kagaya's body stronger and able to easily use the ash bone technique that ordinary clan members can only use by burning their blood and life. But unfortunately, after all these years, the so-called ultimate power has never appeared. King C gradually accepted the guess of complementarity in his heart, because he knew more information, and after mutual verification, he could clearly know that this guess was correct. As the blood source of Otsutsuki Hamura, Otsutsuki Kagaya has the ability of Byakugan and CO killing ash bones. The so-called ultimate power is likely to refer to the complete bloodline of Otsutsuki Kagaya. As for why no one has achieved it in all these years, it is probably because their blood is not strong enough. But these are not a problem for King C. After all, he already has the initial Otsutsuki blood, and the blood in his body is still evolving. In fact, King C's initial blood return is attributed to his mother's side. What few people know is that the mother of the sixth elder is from the main family of the Hyuga clan. After obtaining this secret information, King C saw a new way to improve his bloodline. Although he was not so crazy as to go to Konoha to find the Hyuga clan to borrow a few people or a few pairs of Byakugan to conduct experiments, King C firmly believed that there must be something in the Hyuga clan's bloodline that would play a positive role in his current state, and might even accelerate the evolution of his bloodline. My clan and the Hyuga clan have been friends for generations. Even when our clan moved to the land of water, we still maintained contact with the Hyuga clan. Although we no longer intermarry, we still keep in touch through letters. Seeing this, King C's eyes lit up. It turned out that Kagaya and the Hyuga clan were still connected, but the channel for communication was probably limited to the top leaders and might even be limited to the clan leader. After the death of the Tenin, the Hyuga clan went through several turmoils and lost the relevant information. Although they have not lost contact with each other, the two clans that are not in the same ninja village are destined to no longer be able to continue blood-related experiments. Junior, it is up to you to decide whether to tell the secret of the Hyuga bloodline. I will not interfere with this old man who is already a relic of the old era. After seeing the end, Director King C breathed a sigh of relief. King C really learned too many secrets today that he had never known before. Although it is not possible to contact the Hyuga clan yet, this does not prevent King C from making plans in advance. I'll make a patch and give my personal guess as the setting for this book. The Kagaya clan should have inherited the Kosha Heikotsu bloodline of Kagaya Otsutsuki, but Kosha Heikotsu is a bloodline level ability. After developing the Shigetsu Kagaya to the limit, some characteristics of Kosha Heikotsu that cause death upon contact will slowly appear. The self-healing ability of the clan members whose bloodline concentration is insufficient cannot keep up with the speed of erosion, leading to the collapse of the body. This is the so-called bloodline disease of the Kagaya clan, and it is also the origin of the Heikotsu technique that requires the burning of blood and vitality. However, if the bloodline is very rich and close to the original bloodline, or if the more advanced Otsutsuki bloodline is awakened, then there will be no problems or so-called bloodline diseases. Chapter 27. Lying on the bed with his head tilted back, Kingxi was still thinking about the information he had just received. His thoughts kept wandering as he continued to perfect his next plan. If nothing unexpected happens, Hinata's Byakugan or bloodline will definitely have a positive effect on himself. Although Kingxi would not and did not want to hunt down the Hyuga clan, who were his distant relatives, or to get himself a pair of Byakugan that did not belong to him to speed up the evolution of his bloodline, it was still possible to extract some of the Byakugan's pupil power or the Hyuga clan's bloodline and find a way to absorb and integrate them. However, the first priority is still to slowly absorb the gifts left by his Heike before considering other things. Moreover, Kingxi can feel that his own eye technique is constantly being nurtured. Maybe he can awaken his own eye technique without relying on external forces. Time passed quickly as Kingxi continued to think. The next day came. Kiyoshi, who had just gotten up and had breakfast with Master Yuan, was greeted at home by Chinano and Yagura. When they were chatting while performing a mission in the capital, the three of them had already exchanged addresses in the village, so Yagura, who was bored at home, dragged Chinano to visit Seiji's house. Kiyoshi had never introduced the details of his family to the two before. They only knew that Kiyoshi had lost both parents like them. In addition, they had never heard of the Otsutsuki surname in the village, so they only thought that Kiyoshi was the last orphan who inherited all the inheritance of a small family. Although Yuanchi is an elder, he has been quite low-key in recent years. Chino and Yagura, who are not of high enough rank, do not know that the address given by Kingji is the residence of the elder Yuanchi. The two who were received by the butler Gonbei kept marveling at the size of Kiyoshi's house until they arrived at the living room and met Kiyoshi, who had learned of their arrival and was waiting there, and Yuanchi, a friend who also wanted to see his grandson. What the hell? The two people who entered the living room looked up and saw Master Yuan smiling at them. Why is elder Yuanchi in Kingxi's house? The two thought. When the two saw Master Yuan, they quickly came to their senses and bowed respectfully to him. Master Yuanchi. Haha, come and sit down. Master Yuan nodded and motioned for the two to sit down. Chinano and Yagura couldn't help but look at Kingji. They urgently needed Kingji to explain to them. Grandmaster Yuan, let me introduce them. This is Sister Chino, from the Kid clan, and this brother Yagura, from the Kyujo clan. Kingxi understood what they meant and spoke out. Brother Kingxi, why didn't you ever tell me that you and the elder are a family? The two of them relaxed instantly after knowing the relationship between Yuanchi and Kingxi, and Yagura couldn't help but complain. Kingxi smiled awkwardly and didn't answer. The children from the Kizuna family and the Gaji family. Little Kingxi has really made some good friends. Master Yuan affirmed, even though he already knew the detailed information about the two. After all, it was he who arranged for Kingxi to enter the Anbu. Go ahead, Xiao Kingxi, take your friends out for a walk. You don't have to stay here with me. Master Yuan turned around and said to Kingxi. Okay, Grandpa, we'll take our leave then. After saying that, Kingxi stood up and took his two friends out of the living room. Kingxi took the two of them for a stroll in his own courtyard, introducing the situation of his home to them as they walked. I didn't expect that, brother Kingxi, you are such a secretive person. You have concealed the fact that elder Yuanchi is your grandfather. No wonder you are so powerful at such a young age. Elder Yuanchi really deserves to be one of the original founders of the village. Kiano said. I didn't mean to hide it, it's just that you didn't ask me. But Master Yuan is not my biological grandfather. I am adopted. Kingxi smiled awkwardly, knowing that they had misunderstood him. Kingxi explained. Before they knew it, they had walked to the backyard. Looking at the huge training ground, Chinano and Yagura were stunned. Although their respective families also have such training grounds, the training grounds used by the entire family are not as big as the one of Kingxi's family. Brother Seiji, let's have a fight. We haven't competed with each other yet. Yagura suddenly said excitedly and invited Seiji to a fight. But you are already a jonin. Sister Chino and I will fight against you together. Yagura added. Kingxi was stunned for a moment, then nodded, agreeing to Yagura's request for a battle. Seeing that Kingxi agreed, Yagura picked up the coral stick on his back without saying a word and hit Kingxi with it. Little brother, you have no moral principles. Kingxi complained while dodging in frustration. Hehe, you don't understand this. Brother Cg, we are ninjas. From the moment you agreed, our battle began. Do you think the enemy will wait for you to be prepared on the battlefield? Yagura couldn't help but argue. You bastard Yagura. I think you're just itching for trouble again. Kingxi was amused by Yagura's sophistry. Of course he understood what Yagura was saying. He was no longer the rookie ninja who knew nothing and had no combat experience. But this was just a competition between friends, and Yagura actually launched a sneak attack without any moral principles. Shakebone Pulse Dance of Karamatsu. The sudden outbreak of the battle left CG no time to take off his shirt. White bone spurs pierced through his clothes and quickly grew out of Seiji's chest and back. CG turned around and used his back to face the coral stick that Yagura was swinging at him. He used his bones to block the weapon that Yagura was throwing at him, then Kingxi turned sideways and kicked Yagura in the abdomen. Chapter 28. Yagura, who didn't know much about the corpse vein, was immediately hit hard by Seiji's kick in the abdomen. Yagura was kicked away by Kingxi and flew backwards like an arrow, flying about 20 or 30 meters. It hit the ground heavily, and a cloud of smoke rose up where Yagura landed. Chino looked at Yagura who was kicked away and smiled unkindly. Cough cough cough. Sister Chino, come and help. Yagura's cough was heard in the thick smoke. Water style, water healing technique. Upon hearing this, Chino, who had just been watching the show, walked to Yagura's position and used the water healing technique to turn her arm into a pool of clear water, which touched the wound on Yagura that had just been cut by CG Karamatsu no Mai. Yagura's wound healed quickly under Chino's healing. Sister Chino, why don't you do something? Yagura got up from the ground and complained to Chino beside him. Who knew you would suddenly rush up and attack? Reckless guy. Chino gave Yagura a cold look. Well, that's not important. Let's prepare for a new round of battle. Brother Kingxi is not easy to deal with. Yagura was a little embarrassed and changed the subject calmly. Corpse bone vein 10-finger piercing bullet. While the two were still communicating, Kyoshi launched an attack from a distance, and bone bullets shot towards Yagura and Chino's position. Water release water mirror technique. Yagura took a step forward, pushed forward with his right hand, condensed a large amount of chakra and turned it into a water mirror. After the water mirror appeared, it expanded rapidly. At the same time, he waved the coral stick with his left hand, hooked the water mirror with the hook on the top and dropped it to the ground. A figure exactly like CG jumped out of the mirror, and also used the 10-finger piercing bullet to fight with CG. At the same time, Kano also quickly retreated and began to form seals with both hands. Water release water release. A large number of water bullets emerged from Chino's hands and quickly shot towards CG. Kingxi didn't want to resist with his body, so he had to dodge to the side. The interruption of the bone bullet attack gave Chino and Yagura the opportunity to continue performing ninjutsu. Yagura and Chino looked at each other, and began to form hand seals at the same time. After Kingxi dodged and stood aside, the next wave of attacks from the two arrived. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. Two identical ferocious water dragons rose from the lake behind, roaring and rushing towards Kingxi from the left and right at the same time. Being attacked from both sides, Ching Si had no way to escape and could only resist head-on. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Flower. The bones in his arm grew rapidly and broke out of his body, wrapping around his entire forearm to form a gigantic flower. Kingxi soared into the sky and faced the ferocious water dragon attacking from the right head-on. The bone flower and water dragon in Kingxi's hand were in a stalemate in mid-air for a moment. In the end, Kingxi was stronger, and the water dragon was defeated, turning into water splashing all over the sky. The water dragon attacking from the left was also defeated by Kingxi's proactive attack, and crashed into the ground, forming a large pit filled with water. Ching Si landed gracefully next to the pit that had just formed. But before he could stand firm, he heard a sudden cry from beside him. Water escape, the art of the great water wrist. Kingxi, who didn't react in time, was suddenly hit hard and punched in the stomach by Chino, sending him flying. Kyunyi succeeded in one strike and pursued the victory without giving up. He shaped his hand into a pistol, aimed at Kingxi, who was flying upside down in the air, and shot a bullet-like liquid from the tip of his index finger. Water release, water iron cannon technique. The highly condensed water bullet shot rapidly towards Kingxi. It turned out that with the release of the water dragon bullet, what Chino left behind was only a water clone. Her real body had already turned into water and rushed towards Kyoji along with the water dragon bullet. With the help of the violent chakra fluctuations emitted by the water dragon bullet, she deceived Kyoji's perception, and then lurked in the puddle after landing, ready to attack Kyoji and Yagura from the front and back when Kyoji was not prepared. But she didn't expect that Kyoji's water dragon bullet that defeated Yagura would land right next to her, so Chino took advantage of the situation to attack. She used the Hoshui arm technique to concentrate a large amount of water on her right arm to maximize her strength, and then knocked Kyoji away with a heavy punch. Kingxi was trying hard to adjust his posture in the air. He sensed the water cannon used by Chinano. Kingxi, who had witnessed the power of the water cannon in his memory, had no time to calm the surging blood and chi in his body. He quickly mobilized chakra to frantically form layer after layer of bone shields on his body surface. Boom! With a loud bang, Ching Si was hit by the water cannon, and the layers of bone shields were instantly penetrated by the water cannon, and bone fragments flew all over the sky. Until the last 2 layers of bone shields were left, the chakra condensed in the water cannon was finally exhausted and it was blocked. Ching Si fell heavily to the ground and his blood kept rushing up, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Ching Si, who was still frightened, finally relied on the strength of his corpse bone vein to defend against this terrible attack. Although this move was not aimed at the vital points, Ching Si did not want to experience the pain of being pierced through the body in an instant. Sister Kiano, there's no need to be so cruel. It's just a sparring match. Standing up with difficulty, Kingxi smiled helplessly at Kiano. That won't work. You're too strong for us. If we don't give it our all, there's no chance of winning. Chino replied to Kyoji with the same smile. I was careless just now and didn't dodge. I have to be serious next time. After being taught a lesson by Chino, Kyoji's expression began to become serious. Chapter 29. Kingxi's expression suddenly became serious, and the chakra in his body began to flow rapidly. Water style, Damaixi Yuha. The chakra in the air fluctuated violently, and a large amount of water vapor gathered together under the manipulation of Kyoji's chakra. Enough water to form a small lake rushed towards China and Yagura. Yakura! Defense! Chino shouted loudly when she saw the scale of the technique. Chinano quickly came to Yagura's side and the two of them formed hand seals in sync. Water escape water formation wall. The water array wall released by the two of them successfully offset the impact of the water explosion, but the two of them were also washed to the center of the artificial lake in the courtyard. After the water curtain caused by the collision of ninjutsu dissipated, Chinano and Yagura, who were standing on the lake, lost sight of CG. Yakura, sense it. Chino said anxiously. There was no need to think about it, the hidden CG must be trying to sneak attack them. Oh no! Underwater. Yagura was horrified when he sensed Kyoji's chakra. Before Yagura finished speaking, CG stretched out his hand from underwater and pulled him into the water. Before Yagura could resist, Seiji's water clone used the ninjutsu that he had prepared long ago. Water escape water prison technique. The spherical cage quickly wrapped around Yagura. Kingji's water clone inserted one hand into the water cage, so that Yagura inside was firmly suppressed by the chakra in it and unable to move. Get one. Kingxi said. Another water clone quickly rushed towards Chinano on the water. Chinano used the Hoshobai again and punched the water clone. The water clone was overwhelmed and was instantly dispersed, but was controlled by Kingxi at the side and turned into a water prison to try to wrap up Chinano. Chino was delighted when she saw the water prison technique, and hurriedly turned herself into water to escape quickly, but she did not think about why Kyoji still used the water prison technique to deal with her when he knew that she could turn her body into water. Sister Kiano, you lost. At this time, a bone blade was quietly placed on the neck of Kiano, who had just escaped from the water prison technique, and Kingxi's voice came from behind her. It turned out that the water prison technique just now was just a feint, and the real killer move was behind. Kiano knew how powerful the corpse bone vein could be at close range, so he didn't struggle anymore and decisively admitted defeat. Kyoshi, you are really strong. Even if Yagura and I join forces, we are still no match for you. Chino exclaimed when she knew that Kyoshi still had many corpse bone vein related techniques that he had not used. Sister Chino is just as powerful as ever. I really got a good lesson from her today. Thinking back on Chino's tactics now really made Kingji's eyes light up. It also gave Kingji a deeper understanding of the battles between ninjas. The memories gained are just memories after all, and the Otsutsuki clan is far inferior to the ninja world in the use of techniques and tactics. Kingji also realized that only by slowly turning the combat experience gained into instinct through constant tempering in battles can one be truly powerful. Kingsi and Chinano were chatting here and subconsciously ignored a green-haired little brother who was still trapped in the underwater prison. After a long while, Kingsi finally remembered Yagura, and quickly lifted the water prison technique to release him. Trapped underwater and unable to sense the outside world, Yagura had no idea that his beloved brother and sister had just forgotten him, and thought the battle had just ended. However, Yagura also knew that from the moment he was caught, his collaboration with Chinano had entered a countdown to failure, so he did not foolishly ask the question of who won. Cg and Chinano smiled awkwardly at Yagura, each internally apologizing for having just forgotten about him. It consumes a lot of chakra. Let's go out for a walk and then have a meal. I know a grilled fish restaurant has recently opened in the village. I heard it's very delicious. There is a long queue every day at mealtime to eat there. Yagura suggested. After experiencing the lavish feast in the capital of the Water Kingdom, Kingsi, who was lonely and poor with little spare money and had rarely eaten delicious food in his previous life, has now slowly developed into a foodie. When he heard Yagura mention eating and heard that there was delicious grilled fish, his eyes lit up and he revealed an expression like a glutton. Chino, who also heard about the delicious food, readily agreed. So the three of them each recovered their chakra, changed their clothes from the storage scrolls they carried, and left Kingsi's house together. Kirigakure Village, Matsukawa Grilled Fish Restaurant. Kiyoshi, Yagura, and Chinano, who were lucky enough not to have to queue because they arrived early, were sitting in a private room in the restaurant, patiently waiting for the food to arrive. The guests didn't have to wait too long as the owner, Ryuhei Matsukawa, personally came to the private room with the grilled fish. Dear ninjas, please enjoy your meal. Thank you for visiting our shop. Kirigakure is a village ruled by ninjas, so whenever there are ninjas coming to eat grilled fish, Matsukawa Ryuhei will personally entertain them. After thanking the shop owner, the three of them sniffed the rich aroma in the air and couldn't help but feel hungry. I'm starting. The three shouted at the same time. Kingsi couldn't wait to pick up a piece of fish and put it into his mouth. The skin of the grilled fish is crispy and delicious, as if burning in your mouth, while the fish meat retains its original freshness and juiciness. Feeling the perfect blend of the tender fish meat and the crispy fish skin in your mouth, Kingsi's eyes flashed with brilliance. The combination of fresh fish and rich spices is so delicious that it is hard to describe in words. The fish meat presents a golden luster, and the aroma it exudes is unforgettable. Paired with the unique sauce, the taste is more layered, and the deliciousness of the fish and the fragrance of the seasoning are perfectly blended together, making people intoxicated. You can feel the different layers of taste in every bite, making people intoxicated. Chapter 30. Kiyoshi, Yagura, do you have any plans for the future? Chino asked while enjoying her meal. Yagura, with his mouth full, made a series of meaningless whimpering sounds. Swallow it first. After hearing Yagura's vague answer, Chino was completely speechless and could not help but glare at Yagura. Yagura's neck shrank and he chewed faster. Facing Chino Kizuna, although they were not blood brothers, Yagura always had the feeling that a younger brother would be naturally suppressed by his older sister. As for me, for now I will focus on completing my tasks in the Anbu and working hard to improve my strength, so as to become a Jonin as soon as possible. Then I will become a member of the Shadow Guard like my father, and at the same time make our Karuichi clan stronger. Of course, it would be even better if I could become the Mizukage in the end, but with brother Cg around, there's no chance for me to become the 4th Hokage, so I can compete for the 5th Hokage. Yagura said with longing in his eyes. Shadow Guard. Kingsi was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that Yagura's father was also a member of the Shadow Guard, but he didn't know whether it was the Shadow Guard of the 3rd Mizukage or the 2nd Mizukage. Then whose Shadow Guard are they? Kingsi asked. He wanted to confirm whether Yagura's father knew his father. It was the 2nd Mizukage Genzuki. My father followed Genzuki to the land of Earth during the First Shinobi World War, but was unfortunately ambushed and killed on the spot. I heard that in the end, only the captain of the Shadow Guard, who was from the Hyuga clan, returned to the village with serious injuries. A few years after my father passed away, my mother followed him to the Pure Land because she missed him too much. Yagura looked a little depressed when mentioning his deceased parents. Sure enough, Yagura's father was my father's companion in the Shadow Guard. Kingxi thought secretly in his heart. It's all over, Yagura, look forward, you have us now, CG and I are your relatives. Chinano looked at the depressed Yagura and comforted him, and CG nodded to indicate that Chinano was right. Yagura nodded, then shook his head vigorously, getting rid of the depressed and negative state of thinking about his deceased relatives, and then turned his gaze to Chino Hoshimi who had just started to comfort him. Then let me tell you about my situation. My parents also met with an accident in the last Ninja World War. In an encounter with the Uegakure village's blasting troop, they were severely injured by their bloodline limit explosion. Although they returned to the village with their injured bodies, the medical level of the village at that time was not enough to treat them, and they eventually died from the outbreak of their injuries. I was already 4 years old at that time, and I don't want to experience the feeling of watching my loved ones pass away in front of my eyes again. So from then on, I decided to learn medical ninjutsu. I want to become the most powerful medical ninja in the Kirigakure village. Chino was a little excited when she said this. The good news is that I have a strong ability to learn medical ninjutsu, and the inherited ability of our Kizuna clan, the water transformation technique, has a great auxiliary effect on the performance of water-based medical techniques. So next I will work hard to develop medical ninjutsu, and as an elder sister, I will protect you well. Chinano made her promise to Seiji and Yagura. As for the Kizuki clan, although the clan hopes to have another genius like Grandpa Huanyu to become the Mizukage, as of now, no one in our clan has this talent. Chino smiled helplessly. Okay, we've finished talking, it's your turn. Chino looked at Kyoshi and signaled with her eyes. With his thoughts swirling, facing the two friends who had already opened up to each other, Kingxi thought carefully and decided to tell them about his situation. Relatives should not hide these things from each other. My father knew your father. Kyoshi said to Yagura, and started with a royal bomb. Yagura opened his mouth in shock when he heard what Kyoshi said, but then he became a little confused. If the fathers of both parties knew each other, as they were of the same age, his mother should have mentioned Kyoshi's existence to him. However, he had never known Kyoshi since he was a child, and had never even heard of Kyoshi's name. Yagura looked at Kyoshi, waiting for his next explanation. My father is Kagaya Genji, the captain of the Shadow Guard of the 2nd Mizukage, Master Hojiki Gengetsu, and the only member of the Shadow Guard who returned to the village as you just mentioned. Another bombshell was dropped. No wonder you have the corpse bone vein. Chino and Yagura suddenly realized, but then they felt something was wrong. After all, they knew Seiji's full name, Otsutsuki Seiji. But why don't you have the last name Kagaya? And it seems that the last name Otsutsuki has never appeared in the village before. Yagura asked. Because our family was driven out of the Kagaya clan by the treacherous villain Kagaya Musashi. The Kagaya clan doesn't even have our name now. Kingxi's face darkened and he subconsciously exuded a murderous aura. Although it was not directed at Yagura, it still gave Yagura goosebumps. Sorry, I was too excited. Kingxi apologized to the two of them after he came to his senses. As an orphan in his previous life, he finally has a father and mother who love and care about him in this life, but this hard-earned happiness was destroyed by Kagaya Musashi. Whenever he thinks of this, Kingxi can't control his emotions and murderous intent towards Kagaya Musashi. It's just a power struggle within the big family. My father is the loser. They don't dare to break the rules and take action directly on the surface, but they want to kill our whole family in secret. Ching Si calmed himself down and narrated to the two people in a soothing tone. Since the Hyuga clan doesn't recognize us as a family, I won't beg them to let me return to the Hyuga clan. With you and Grandpa Yuanchi, I am living a good life now. What's more, my bloodline is different from that of the Hyuga clan now, and my bloodline has evolved. Kingxi told the two his secret. Next, I will gradually practice ninjutsu of other attributes. I think the fighting method is too simple if I only rely on corpse bone vein and water escape. I possess chakra of all attributes, so I should have more abundant means. Kingxi inadvertently said Versailles again. Grandmaster Yuanchi hopes that I can become the Mizukage in the future. My father also had this dream when he was alive. I carry their expectations. It is now my dream to become the Mizukage and make the Hidden Mist village stronger. As for my strength, because of my bloodline, I probably won't see much improvement in the next 3 to 5 years. In addition to continuing to develop the corpse bone vein and mastering other ninjutsu, I want to improve the quality of my chakra even more. I know a secret technique to compress chakra, and I will organize it and teach it to you later. King C said finally.